Hello.
Hello.
And
We are live.
we're live again. Again, we haven't died. Another week has gone by and they haven't taken us out. The Glowies don't want you to know this, but you can just keep on living. unless they get you. Sometimes they do get you.
And
Yeah.
just to clear something up, Penultimo, I don't have testicular rupture, but
He has testicular torsion.
not Marty.
Yeah.
Friend of the show, Marby. No, I went to the doctor earlier this week. Apparently, I am more likely to suffer from testicular cancer. Apparently, if they're dragging, then that's not good for them. Actually, they shouldn't be hitting the floor.
They should not be hitting the floor. Only the bodies should be hitting the floor.
Yeah. So Penultimo, just T's and P's, please.
I think that given that you are above 3.6, and we did confirm that, I think it's actually pretty indicative that you already have testicular cancer if your balls are that swollen.
Well, I don't feel a lump. I guess they're just
it's
one
all
big
lump. It's just all lump. The lump rules the whole thing.
Rules the roost.
You are now testicular revisionist, Hudson.
That's fine.
Leaving the TR nebulous has been a big branding advantage for you, actually, because now everyone can speculate. You could have gone with JRR Hudson. Did you ever consider that?
It's been done.
Yeah. I mean, you could have just been. I see. Well, you're owning it now, so that's great.
Yeah, no, I mean, you gotta just. I'm here for the fans, really. It's like those guys at like those clowns that make fun of you when you're trying to throw the baseball and knock them into the water. What's that game called?
I've never. What, you like a dunk tank?
Yeah, the dunk tank. That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you do the. This is a digital dunk tank.
A good friend of the show thing all. I just got to say, it's really outing yourself as an Australian with this post.
I had a rock melon size.
I had a rock melon size hydrocell in me testicle. Had to get it operated on.
It was massive, mate.
Went down the shore, dangled it in the water, waited for a croc to bite it off.
Was the size of a Foster.
It only took 5 minutes. Lousy with crocs down there. That's
Chunder.
That's vomit.
I know.
I was singing The Land Down Under as I cleaned my kitchen this morning.
Really?
Yeah, it was strangely.
It's always strange the synchronicities you and I have.
Well, my wife walked in and I said, "I met a strange lady. She made me nervous. Then she took me in and she gave me breakfast." That's
now you're telling me your wife's Australian.
Well, no, but like many Australians, my wife is from Asia. So, we're not so different, you and I. Australians, I mean.
Did you hear about that plane crash? Something about continuation of government. It was the mission was a continuation of government type thing. Did you hear anything about that?
Do you mean the one in DC?
Yeah, the one in DC. The helicopter mission, or the mission that the helicopter was on was some sort of training exercise for continuation of government, which apparently is a huge rabbit hole in and of itself.
Interesting.
There was a during the Iran-Contra.
Gave it to a woman, but they did give it to a woman.
Yeah, during the Iran-Contra hearings, Daniel Inouye basically stopped the hearings as soon as somebody mentioned continuation of government. It's been that's been a big topic for a long time in schizospheres. So
I mean, it's literally the deep state. It's to make sure that it's not a major catastrophe every 4 years. What the fuck did that sound?
Sorry, I don't know what that was.
It's very suspicious. Neither of us knew what that sound was. All right. Well, the FBI Pajit who is listening in on this line.
Hello, Cash.
Mute yourself. Well, hey, whoa. I would never call Cash Patel a Pajit because he's got crazy man eyes and he would strangle me in my sleep. He would dedicate my soul to Kali, and I want him doing that to like glowy libtards, not to me.
Yes, no, we're big Cash Patel fans, if only because he frightens us.
Yes, actual Cash, but actual the one masculine Pajit, and he's like 5'6".
I bet he could win an Olympic medal.
He's the only one, but it would be in grip strength around a throat. That's for sure. All right. Well, let's see. So yeah, the only things that I heard about it were terrible tragedy from the perspective of Wichita enjoyers.
Yeah, it was a what was it, like a youth skating team?
Oh, I didn't even hear that. That's awful.
Yeah,
Man, only bad things happen to people from Wichita.
Yeah,
they got like 3 famous murderers from Wichita for a town.
BTK?
It's BTK, and then these 2 brothers who were total fucking psychos.
The Menendez brothers? I thought they were from Los Angeles.
Not those ones. I actually forget their names, but they just went on like pointless killing sprees. So
you would have thought I would have seen that episode of Criminal Minds.
It is a cursed place. It is a cursed place with cursed people, Wichita. That's why it required a 7-nation army to go there. So,
well, anyway, thoughts and prayers to the good people of Wichita and their loss.
and fuck you, lady helicopter pilot.
So I don't think
never let a woman drive.
Not sure if it was her fault. There's still I think it was an air traffic thing.
Well, fuck you, female air traffic controller.
Probably.
And
which is worse, because they had no skin in the game.
A male helicopter pilot could have done something about that, though.
Did you see that stupid post? It was like I don't know, something's not.
Why wouldn't he have juked? Why just just swerve?
Yeah, it was something like these things dodge RPGs. You're telling me it can't dodge a plane? It's like
you could dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
I tried to send that GIF in like 3 different group chats. It wouldn't let me.
Would not. Yeah. Mediocre minds think alike. Apparently,
that's us.
That's us. All right. So we have such a good episode. It starts on the spiciest. Line I think that we have had any episode start on. I guess we already went over Vril last time, but
yeah.
I randomly found a collected works of Edward Bulwer Lytton at a Half Price Books.
Oh, that's awesome! Yeah, I love those kinds of finds.
All leather bound, $100 dues. Copped that shit.
Wow, it must be nice being a dink.
Fuck, it's not. I would definitely trade $100 dues for a child.
I can hook you up with a guy I know.
Yeah, it does need to be mine though. So, anyway,
we'll talk offline.
Yeah, great.
Do you know my friend Dr. No, Dr. Jonas Venture.
Dr. Jonas Venture. Yeah, I mean Junior. I'll take the clone lab. I'll just raise a young version of myself. That'd be fine.
Oh no, it's a young version of Gabe.
Oh no. It turns out that all it takes to create a Gabe is being conceived in a test tube, and everyone has the epigenetic potential to produce Gabe Sinclair.
That would be a fun science fiction.
Yeah.
Piece. It's funny. I had a weird dream last night. I was reading Kurt Vonnegut before bed, which I highly recommend to anybody who wants to have creative ideas. And I was working in an office, and it was an automated AI office that was just constantly trying to kill the employees and turn them into mulch.
Okay.
So, but
actual mulch maxing.
yes, but it would only do so in like the most Looney Tunes way possible. So it's like you would have to, it would tell you to go through a fake door, and then you'd end up in like a mulch pit, or yeah.
Boy, it would be like, boy, it sure would be great if you laid down in the mulch pit and just decayed.
Yeah, basically that, or like there'd just be a giant wood chipper where your car is supposed to be.
You should probably get in your car now.
And I have some very strange dreams.
Okay, I mean that's actually really funny. It is very Looney Tunes. It's kind of like Final Destination.
Yeah.
Where death is a Rube Goldberg machine.
I got a box of cigars in the mail. It's weird. They're red with little tips on the like little string tips on the end.
Oh yeah, it's way easier to light those, I hear.
Yeah. No, they're great. They pack a heck of a punch at the end.
So true. All right. Well, let's get started on the book. We're 15 minutes in, and we have successfully put in the Bants section.
I feel like 15 is good
of the preamble. Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. You get your little taste of Command and Conquer, and then you get some Bants. But
is that what that's from?
On with the show.
To ask.
It is.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's called Hell March.
So we'll never get copyright struck for that.
No, it's actually free use.
Oh, that's great.
Because Westwood Studios was based as fuck. R.I.P. All right. In his book, Black Sun, Aryan Cults, Esoteric Nazism, and the Politics of Identity, Nicholas Goodrick Clark outlines the complex and close relationship between organized white racialist relationships to aliens and UFO lore. Is that not a banger opener?
Actually, very interesting book.
Hitting the fucking ground running with that one. I have not read it. It's definitely on the TBR list.
Yeah. Should I add that to the... Well, I guess Tim McVeigh didn't read it, so probably not.
I've add it to the... we can add it. I guess it's not the library. Yeah, the library. But it's a clear include in the Library of Mass Destruction.
Yep. I'll put it in the Google Doc.
While it had been intertwined previously, during the 1950s, legends began to emerge about the Third Reich's continued existence in underground advanced technology complexes in the Arctic, South America, and Antarctica, which for some explained many UFO sightings. Someday, against a scenario of increasing racial chaos and economic catastrophe, thousands of Nazi UFOs would one day fly forth to restore German world power in an apocalyptic act of deliverance.
Mein Führer, I can walk.
By the late 1970s, neo-Nazi writers developed this concept further and, mixing it with Nordic mythology, advanced the idea that intergalactic aliens who had some shared heritage with Aryans had helped the inner Earth-dwelling Nazis to build their own UFOs in an ongoing Aryan/interdimensional alliance. The Nazis are working with the 6D Mesoamerican demons. Amazing. By the 1980s and early 1990s, such stories were firmly established in certain neo-Nazi groups, who themselves continued to expand on them, adding some amusing details along the way. By the mid-1990s, many of these ideas became entrenched within larger UFO lore.
So there was a show on the History Channel called Project Blue Book.
Okay.
It ran. It might have. No, it can't still be running. But it was.
I almost put the Ancient Aliens guy's hair on Timothy McVeigh for the.
Oh, that would have been great. Maybe next week.
Yeah.
No, this was the guy who played Littlefinger in Game of Thrones. He plays J. Allen Hynek in the show.
Aidan Gillen.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Yes. So he plays J. Allen Hynek, who is like the UFO guy for a long time, and the Project Blue Book debunker. And it's basically him and this military dude going around debunking various UFO things. But at the end of one episode, they go to what was that place in Alabama? where all the German scientists lived. It was like Rocket City, basically.
Huntsville, yeah.
Yeah. So at the end of that episode that they go there, first of all, you have the military guy. He's like, I don't like having all these damn Nazis in my country, So that was fun. And at the end, they do a second experiment of the German bell, and that's the last thing I watched from it. I didn't have cable after that.
Oh man. Oh, it's gotta download. Maybe we'll do a marathon.
Yeah. For drive time. Yeah, that'd be cool. So anyway, yeah, it's Project Blue Book. It ran for at least 2 seasons.
Sick.
Hold on, I'll Jamie it up real quick.
Well, we're gonna talk about Blue Book here.
Yeah.
So it's definitely in this section. Because Wendy Painting leaves no stone unturned.
No, definitely not.
Okay. What does
2019
Hyperborea?
To 2020?
Wait. Okay. All right. That's pretty. I mean, it's very recent. I'm surprised I didn't hear about that. Yeah. You might be wondering, what does Hyperborea and Agartha have to do with the Oklahoma City bombing? Well, let's find out. What tangent ties this all together, other than his work at Caltech, or Calspan, not Caltech. Speaking of, because we went over the drones, and we went over the New Jersey drones. Since it has since been announced that the New Jersey drones were FAA authorized flights. That's it.
Interesting. Yeah.
FAA authorized flights. The previous administration absolutely knew that they were happening.
So that lends credence to the idea that they were sniffing for nuclear material.
It kind of does. That part has not been confirmed.
Right. And I doubt that they ever would. It's one of those things.
Right.
Like, if we're hearing about it, it's probably really bad.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah. So, but essentially, the Trump administration said, yeah, these were allowed and acknowledged by the FAA. They were our drones. They were being flown for research purposes. That's what that was.
We're gonna get the disclosure presidency.
I find it amazing that the previous press secretary was like, it's literally not happening.
They didn't tell her.
Yeah, or right. They don't tell Jean-Pierre or Jean-Luc or whatever the fuck her name was.
Jean-Luc Picard.
Jean-Luc Picard got rebooted as a press secretary who was a black lesbian. Amazing.
Speaking of which, I was driving today, and there was you know how they have those cars, or
yes, I do know how they have those cars.
You know how on cars people will say like honk or give me my Cash App for my birthday or whatever.
Yeah,
it was honk if you to celebrate Riker's birthday, and I was like, who names their kid Riker?
Jonathan Frakes.
Yeah, well, yeah, I get. Okay, all right. So Riker Frakes is out there having a great birthday. Happy birthday, Riker Frakes.
Yep. While Roth recognized that many, even the majority of UFO/abductee buffs, eschew the assertion that not far beneath the surface of UFO alien stories exists a virulent yet veiled anti-Semitism and racism, it is clear that some folks gravitate towards the aliens' clear eugenicist agenda. Among the theories about the intent of the visitors' ceaseless invasions, abductions, and genetic mutilations is an eventual Noah's Ark scenario wherein human hybrids will be chosen to act as new Adams and Eves in a celestial, multidimensional Eden, but only after massive global cataclysm.
It's celestial Adam and Eve, not celestial Adam and Steve.
That's very true. Thank God the aliens aren't paused. Then we'd be really fucked. However, by the time this new utopia can be established, humans will appear very different from what you and I know today, largely through the aliens' foresight and thoughtful biotechnological intervention. In the meantime, hybrid children of abductees are those who self-identify as dual humans, i.e. hybrids, this is furries, represent one manner by which an American wasp can be ethnic. While perhaps hybrid is the new black for some, other interstellar enthusiasts might argue that a more advanced society would embrace the alien cyborging of America, as this would distill humanity into its purest racial form, the debrowning of America. I think that we call that deglazing. You use like
Yes,
a
and
nice port,
I
use a
thought we
nice
were
port to
doing
get
that
it off
right
the
now.
pan. We are literally doing Tom Homan. Tom Homan was the alien all along. Is that what you're saying? The real alien was Tom Homan?
E.T. phone Tom Homan.
Yep.
Uh,
ET was trying to self-deport. That whole show is about, naive kids harboring an alien fugitive while they try to self-deport.
ET stands for SA Taco.
So true. That is what that
And
stands
internet
for.
enjoyer. Yes, we are all aware that aliens are demons. I actually have an essay about that with the Old Glory Club that references this book.
I'm not sure. I do not think that there is a. I recognize that the status as aliens makes it is just the materialist explanation for demons. But I think that there could be two. I think that both things could be real.
Mm-hmm. I'm very muddled on it as well.
Yeah.
But I've come around to the aliens are demons theory.
Okay. You think it's all demons?
I think especially guys like Stephen Greer who
Okay.
summon UFOs and summon lights in
Well,
the sky.
that's clearly, yeah, that's clearly a demon. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I think he's definitely playing with something. Yeah, he should stop right away.
I was speaking of summoning beings. I was thinking the next book we do could be the Book of a Gremlin.
I don't know
much
what that is.
shorter. Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you about it later.
Okay.
But it's about performing a 6-month-long ritual to summon your guardian angel. Except it's not really your guardian angel.
Yeah,
So.
that the thing about your guardian angel is he's always there.
Yeah. Anyhow, among Theosophy's direct but more militant and UFO-oriented descendants is a group called the Church Universal and Triumphant, CUT. Roth says that CUT's thinly veiled anti-Semitic doctrine purports the existence of an ungodly counterfeit race of human automatons mentioned. There you go. I beat you to it. The Jews that walk the earth, but because of their wickedness are destined for destruction. In the 1980s,
wickedness?
Their perfect wickedness. Yes. In the 1980s, the congregation built underground bunkers at their compound near Yellowstone National Park, where they stockpiled food, weapons, and even a rumored armored personnel carrier, as dictated by the Council of the Church's invisible celestial hierarchy, the Ascended Masters. Also, you call the Blavatsky called her called the beings that she allegedly communicated with the Ascended Masters.
See, that's what makes me think demon.
Who spoke through CUT's leader, Elizabeth Clare Prophet. Well, so
can't be your real name.
She claimed, I mean, the Ascended Masters included like the Buddha and Krishna and Jesus. Like it was, it's the classic hodgepodge of
right. So let's just fit
all of them. Oh, that guy
religion.
you like? Well, he talks to me, and he's got buddies, and it's all the other ones who have surviving writing.
I'm gonna step in front of my pulpit real quick.
Yeah,
there was this guy.
Once there was a guy who.
Yeah, no, he was. I was watching this video, and this guy was talking about how. And this was early on in my sort of walk back to faith. And this guy said, it's like every single religion that I've run into says, oh, we have the truth. And also Jesus was a good guy and he knew what was up. But Jesus only says that I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one shall proceed to the Father except through me. So I listened, and that for some reason that convinced me more than a lot of other things.
Yeah. I mean, but basically, if a single person had said, yeah, Jesus was a dickhead, then he would have been like, oh, well, maybe
Well,
it's someone else.
now we have to think about
Now I
this.
have to think about it.
But
Yeah.
no, not one person.
Not one. He just got he just got the correct sample size. Uh, um, Cut ran afoul of federal authorities on more than one occasion, most often in regard to their weapons stockpiles, use of false names to purchase weapons, and recurring lapses of memory concerning IRS tax deadlines. In light of the church's history, McVeigh's trip to Cut's Montana headquarters in 1994, around the time he made his visit to Area 51, is noteworthy. Yes, it is. The
So
polygenetic
noteworthy, we put it in this book.
Yes, the polygenetic foundations of theosophy are mimicked by those of Christian identity, a religion adhered to by certain sects of white supremacists and supremacists, most notably Aryan nations, but also Elohim City, a community whose residents, as noted earlier, McVeigh would be linked to, having made an appearance there himself a time or two. The Christian identity stuff is interesting because a lot of like the modern Christian nationalist guys actually aren't related to it.
I was about to ask because this
Yeah.
is one of those things I don't know a whole lot about. I actually, you know, who knows a lot about this is Dimes, because he's done a lot of reading on this topic, and I recommended him
On
this.
Christian identity.
Well, on white separatist movements,
Oh, okay.
and I recommended him this book, and he's picking it up on that recommendation.
Well, he could just listen to us talk about it.
I sent him that as well. He said no.
Yeah, he said absolutely not. I will not listen to 20 hours or whatever this is going to be. I mean, this is episode 16, and they're about 3 hours a piece. So we're already in the 42-hour mark in terms of production. You could definitely read the book a lot faster.
I don't know. It's a thick book.
Yeah, except we're reading it live and then talking about things interspersed. So if we were just reading the book, it would take way less time. Obviously, right? You'd think.
If you're out there, Dimes, I'm going to find you.
I'm going to find in Canada, in the frozen wastes of Canada. You will be found. Yeah, but as far as I can tell, a lot of the modern Christian nationalist guys are not actually Christian identity related. It's like a completely separate. It is a secret third thing. It is brand new Zoomer shit.
Which is nice, you know, because they don't have to carry around the weight of all that.
Of all the Fed boys, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I don't think Stephen Wolf is a Fed.
Yeah. Well, I've been burned before. Yeah. Although Roth does not discuss their particular racially charged interdimensional theology, numerous others have, including Goodrick Clark. The theology of Christian identity, a religion practiced by some of the most violent subsets of white separatists and supremacists, hinges on ideas about racial purity, survival, and an ongoing interdimensional race war. As the story goes, the biblical Eve generated two bloodlines, one with her human Aryan husband Adam, and the other with the serpent Satan, who appeared to her in humanoid form. Adam's descendants constitute the only real legitimate humans, while the bastard offspring of Satan and Eve, although they walk the earth in human form, are actually demonic imposters on a timeless mission to enslave and ultimately destroy Adam's Aryan descendants, the real humans.
Yeah, pretty sure I read that in Paradise Lost.
Today, the lying spawns of Satan himself deceptively call themselves the Jews in an attempt to trick everybody and usurp the real chosen people of God, the Aryans.
Source needed.
Citation needed. And also, I feel like we're letting the Jeets off pretty light here. But
we said one nice thing about Kash Patel, and now
we said one nice thing about Kash Patel, and now he's worked this into the book, and he's trying to claim to be a real person.
He's editing this book in real time. Hasn't even been confirmed yet.
Hasn't even been confirmed. This is the acting director. Yeah, that's right. It's amazing how many of these organizations have acting directors. You'd think that they should get people who are more more focused on the main mission of the organizations rather than teaching acting to all of the agents.
I guess, I don't know.
You don't. It's a joke.
Yeah,
It's a funny joke.
Flew right over my head.
But if you're not, before you're confirmed, but you're in the position, you're called the acting director. Never mind.
Right.
Goddamn.
Okay.
Goddamn. Okay. Pick up what I put down.
Hey man, it's okay. Even Ted Williams struck out once or twice.
They can't all be winners. It's true. In this cosmology, other races are genetically degraded subhuman mud people, offspring of pre-Adamic creatures whose extraterrestrial origins resulted from the ranks of Lucifer's rebellious angels that had fallen to Earth from elsewhere in the galaxy. This is the Nephilim. When the Luciferian rebellion failed, God imprisoned the mud people on Earth in the form of animals. When God created the Garden of Eden for Adam and Eve, he populated it with these subhuman animals and gave Aryan Adam complete dominion over them, kind of like the theosophical Lemurians. Their descendants consist of all other non-white races, mainly blacks, who at some point in time aligned themselves with the fake shape-shifting Jews, and ever since that time have manipulated and engaged in a program whose ultimate goal is the destruction of the Aryan bloodline. This axis of interdimensional evil will do just about anything to make sure they succeed, including enacting integration policies in public schools, promoting homosexuality, and spreading AIDS.
I could tell you're a little uncomfortable reading that out loud, and it reminded me of the episode of Seinfeld where George and Jerry pretend to be O'Donnell.
I don't remember.
Or Donald O'Brien, rather.
I don't remember.
It's the episode The Limo.
Okay.
And Donald O'Brien is like a William Luther Pierce figure.
Got it. Amazing.
So he starts reading O'Brien's words, and it's like, and the Jews have, I forget the exact line, and you just hear Jerry go, "Are you going to open with that?" Great episode.
That would be great. I would love to tell this story as stand up. It'd be great. The next OGC.
Oh yeah, this is your speech. It's just it's a Sam Heidian speech about the Lemurians and the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, I'll dress like a rabbi and just get up there and say, locked in a cosmic battle with human appearing imposters, Aryans must remain constantly vigilant to the literally devilish schemes of the Jews. Aryan victory is only achievable through the eugenic purification of the race, at this point nearly destroyed through race mixing, and the reclaiming of Earth, their God-given birthright. Before that can even happen, the struggle will turn apocalyptically violent. While Christian identity does not have a set belief about aliens per se, their cosmology closely parallels that of other mystical white racist sects, and either way, nobody is debating that when it comes to those wily fake Jews, the fate of the planet is at stake. The more important question is not if aliens exist, but if they do, which side are they on?
End quote.
End quote.
Yeah, because you were doing your hardcore history voice.
I at several points I was kind of veering into Wallace Shawn.
A little bit. I get that now. Okay. All right. Inconceivable.
When the fate of the planet is at stake. Yeah. While the links between Nazi beliefs and those about aliens and UFOs are important to understand, what the majority of mainstream commentary and theorizing surrounding the UFO and contactee movements fail to take into account, including those commentators not focused on racial ideologies, is that the world of UFO mania is and has always been highly infiltrated. A sizable amount of information propagated by the UFO movement was intentionally planted there by the U.S. intelligence community. A handful of writers, however, most notably Jody Dean and investigative journalist Mark Pilkington, have presented credible and well-documented histories of the U.S. government's attempts to contain, exert control over, and shape the public's never-ending fascination, inquiries, and speculations about UFOs.
We'll hear more about Mark Pilkington and his work a little later on. Actually,
Yeah.
I think even on this page. I did want to say that I think, yeah, Wallace Shawn as a neo-Nazi would be really funny, and I would watch My Dinner with Adolf.
Oh my god. He looks more like a he really looks more like a Goebbels, although he was a little chubbier.
It just reminds me, what was that? It was like, you're telling me that Hitler's second in command was Himmler? What is this Waluigi stuff?
What the fuck is that from?
It was just some 4chan post.
Right. Oh man. In the mid to late 1940s, Americans began seeing strange lights and aircraft in the sky. Sightings the military feared could indicate a foreign intrusion into American airspace, perhaps by advanced Soviet aircraft operating from captured Nazi technologies. It is not surprising then that from this time forward, if not earlier, UFOs became a subject of some interest to the U.S. intelligence community. In 1947, the U.S. Air Force initiated Project Sign with the objective of studying the UFO phenomenon and determining what threat, if any, the sightings represented. In the final analysis, Sign concluded that although UFOs did not pose a threat to national security, UFO investigation should remain under the control of the military, just in case. The sightings continued, however, and strange legends, including those about downed extraterrestrial craft and their space invader pilots, spread rapidly throughout popular culture. Oh God.
No, Gabe, they're not. You can go away now.
Yeah. That is not a phrase that anyone has ever used before, Gabe. No one has ever called anything moose hangers, and I feel like
this is how you know Gabe's an incel.
This is how you know Gabe is a foreign incel, like because he doesn't know any English idioms.
It's like a bag of moose milk.
It's like a bag of moose milk, man. I want to rewatch 40-year-old version. Virgin.
Trying to activate a sleeper agent. Yes, Cash Patel is now activated.
The Mickey's Moose Hangers was an MK Ultra phrase, though. That is confirmed. Newly released documents. Anyway, in an attempt to mitigate the rumors, Project Sign became Project Grudge in late 1948. But unlike its predecessor, Grudge began with the official position that UFOs did not exist and attributed the sightings to mass hallucinations. That is, mass hallucinations would be an acceptable explanation if literally anything else could be explained by mass hallucinations.
Yeah.
Why don't people ever see anything else?
Right. And especially the fact that that's such an odd thing to just make up.
Yeah.
Like, it would be like, it'd be one thing if they said, oh, we see a bunch of Zeppelins in the sky or something, but like to say, oh, it's a spaceship, it's from outer space, it's a flying saucer, that's just completely out of nowhere,
Yeah, it's also like, there's never been like a baseball stadium full of people who hallucinated like a streaker on the field, or I don't know, a fucking alien. Like, it's just the context in which these things occur. Like, there's mass hallucinations in some contexts, but not in others.
Well, we're about to have a mass hallucination event. A lot of people are going to think that the Eagles and the Chiefs are playing in some sort of Superb Bowl.
Superb Owl.
Yes, to borrow the Redditism.
Yeah. I do not follow the NFL, and so I will simply act as if nothing is occurring.
You're gonna watch for the commercials.
When is the Super Bowl?
I don't know. I think it's next Sunday. Yeah, they usually take a Sunday off, so I think this week is not, and then it's first week in February, or I guess second. Yeah, no, because tomorrow's the 31st, so second week in February.
Really disappointing. My grandfather was a Bears fan, so he was a long-suffering fellow. But I had a cheesehead hat when I was growing up.
Wow, so not only like your grandfather was just full of disappointment.
He was just like, you're a little traitor.
What do you mean she's Asian? I'm guessing because he's an old man. You know,
Nah,
he's not hip to the times.
He actually, I have a Japanese prayer flag he brought back from the Pacific
This
Theater.
is what you do to them.
This is what you do to him. Now, he probably had some comfort girls. My grandmother was kind of a fucking battle axe. So
A real battle axe.
yeah, did you call her a battle axe? Yeah, she was.
She's an old chunk of coal.
She was great. She was a great woman, but yeah, real battle axe. I could not have imagined being her contemporary. I was the only one she was ever nice to.
She
was like the grandma. She was like the grandma from Everybody Loves Raymond. So,
aww.
Yeah.
So good cook.
Oh fuck yeah! Obviously.
All right. Well, I mean that's important because if you're a battle axe and you're not a good cook, you know, I mean, I guess
a regular stregonana.
You can be I guess you can be gay now, but back then it must have been tough.
Can't be gay. Illegal.
Well, now, but
now that we have the executive orders.
Let's see. I guess between like 1993 and 2025. So, you know, I mean, pretty good. They had a good run.
John, aliens are real and they are straight. There's never been a recorded incident of a gay alien. I'm just saying.
Actually, but they're fake and straight.
They're fake and straight. Yeah, they're not real. Yeah, they're not real, but they are hetero. Let's see here. Mass hallucinations. Grudge recognized that even if UFOs were not real, the Soviets could exploit the American public's increasing preoccupation with them and weaken citizens' faith in their government. As for citizens, government denials coupled with continuing sightings, a dishonest government makes. No shit, that's true.
Yeah.
Further, and perhaps worse, if the American people insisted on believing that they saw strange things in the sky, their inquiries might uncover the very real and ongoing testing and development of U.S. advanced military aircraft. And sooner or later, the Soviets would find out about it and improve on it. Jody Dean explained. To decrease the likelihood of mass manipulations, Project Grudge waged a propaganda campaign to alleviate public fears of UFOs while downplaying sighting reports in general. A primary element of this campaign involved stripping away the credibility of those who thought they saw something strange in the sky. Properly trained observers, scientists, and military experts would then provide true explanations. Witnesses were dismissed as drunk, hysterical, crazy, or deeply twisted and dishonest. Yet the official ridicule had a reverse effect. Suspicion that there was really something to hide, which managed to shift the problem of credibility from UFO witnesses to the U.S. government and military. The flying saucer community undercut military assurances of security. Few other positions in Cold War society proved so consistent and potentially fundamental a challenge to military competence and integrity, and military and scientific hegemony. Military legitimacy rested on a disavowal of the unknown. It was outside the parameters of truth, dangerously threatening to a security ever dependent on a stable, predictable, containable, and real. In the face of the possibility of aliens, the military looked weak, unable to provide the safety it promised. In the face of charges of conspiracy, the government looked corrupt, indistinguishable from its own representation of the community enemy. Yeah, I mean that's true.
Yeah, no, well, it's funny because the Soviet Union, meanwhile, was infecting the university system.
Yeah.
You know, with actual doctrine. So it's like, oh, we got to make sure that the public doesn't fall prey to any sort of subversion through this UFO nonsense. But they miss the forest for the trees with the universities. I don't know. It just seems
well, they were also infiltrating the government. So
yeah. Being the UFO debunker had to be like the chillest no-show job.
Fucking coolest gig. Oh my god. Like, you're just like, oh man, we got one in Florida. You know what? That's probably why
there's so many in Hawaii.
That's probably why that's probably why all of the like Florida, all of the like UFO flaks occur in like, oh yeah, it's in Florida, but man, we've been getting a lot of them here. You know, it won't happen during hurricane season, but it'll happen when the weather's nice. It's like, oh man, we're getting some in the Southwest. It was a little chilly. It was a little chilly elsewhere, so you know we gotta investigate these UFO things over Nevada.
I don't think
Daddy needs a new pair of shoes.
I don't think we're seeing any UFOs in Kansas in the middle of winter, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, we're not going to be seeing any lights in the sky over Nome, Alaska. It'll be, yeah, exactly. That utterly explains it. So you just get a really cool travel job.
Yeah, kind of like how the military never invades anywhere nice. UFOs never go to any shitholes.
Exactly. Well, I mean, look, you travel across.
I've never seen a UFO in Haiti. Let's just say that.
No one's ever seen a UFO in Haiti. They know they'd get eaten. The Haitian ability to eat things.
They're like the billy goats of people.
They're the billy goats of people. They're the billy goats of, well, I mean,
people. Well, let's keep it PC.
Okay, all right. Well, okay, all right. I concede the point that Haitians are people. That's the official stance of Library of Mass Destruction.
Yes.
And
we are,
and you won't hear otherwise from my mouth.
Yep. Certainly not in the DMs either.
All right. They're eating the dogs. As part of this discrediting, government officials utilized friendly journalists and media outlets to debunk and make light of UFO reports. Pilkington noted that the decision to intervene in the UFO debate and discredit, sometimes maliciously, those who claim to see strange, unexplainable aircraft in the sky stands as an example of one of many early acts of Cold War ontological aggression leveled by the U.S. government against its own citizens and foreign populations alike. Sick phrase, ontological aggression. Big fan.
So good job, Pilkington. Not Carl Pilkington. Yeah. That's Ricky Gervais' friend.
Well,
did we get his first name?
We did get his first name on the previous page.
Whatever. Mark Pilkington. There we go.
Mark Pilkington. Ontological aggression is super good.
That would be a good band name.
These perception management efforts, also a pretty good phrase, became aggressive and began in earnest in 1951 when President Harry S. Truman created the Psychological Strategy Board, PSB, whose purpose was to intervene in American popular culture and religious and intellectual domains in order to promote the American way of life and neutralize doctrines hostile to foreign objectives. Rendering those who claim to have seen UFOs foolish was just a part of this larger objective.
It's just because he had historically low approval numbers.
Yeah.
Like they just started doing approval numbers like right before his presidency with FDR. And he went right to the toilet.
Oh no. Yeah. Yeah, well, you know, not a Harry S. Truman fan, obviously, as a Douglas MacArthur respecter.
See, I'm pro Truman. Because
you hate Douglas MacArthur because of my association with him.
No, it's okay. No, my honest opinion of Truman is he did as well as just a guy could do. Like he was a hat store clerk.
Yeah, I mean, I know he ran a haberdashery, but he also had had other accomplishments and was kind of a hard.
I know. He was an artillery officer, but he was also the mouthpiece for a machine politician in Missouri. And
I mean he was the grand master of the Masons in Missouri. Before he was president.
Don't take this away from me. He's my just a guy president.
Was not just a guy.
I know. Don't take this from me, Cap.
He had lots of connections, and that's kind of how he made his bones. In fact, he wasn't. There's stories that the presidential pension got passed because he was living in squalor when after his term ended. It's not true. It's not true at all. Like he made a big show of it, but they were just fine. They had investments, they had all sorts of things, and he just wanted to keep getting a paycheck. So it was kind of another old Truman razzle dazzle scam.
The old Truman razzle dazzle.
Yep.
Scheming Harry is what they called him.
Yep. They called him Slippin' Harry. So
well, my Truman obsession is now dead. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I've learned on this show that not only did the moon landing happen, but Harry S. Truman, kind of a scumbag.
Yeah. Yep. He was kind of a scumbag. Powerful guy, but kind of a scumbag. Alrighty. Did I finish that one? When he created the Psychological Strategy Board, purpose was to intervene in American popular culture and religious and intellectual
domains. You finished that paragraph, yeah.
Okay. All right, yeah. Despite the efforts to malign UFO buffs, the larger public wasn't buying the mass hallucination explanation. Too many people had already, actually, you know what? A bunch of people not believing a mass hallucination explanation doesn't actually help your case there. I just, just to be clear. Too many people had already seen too much, and the number of sightings only continued to increase. In response, citizen UFO research groups formed, whose purpose was simply to solve the mystery, but which inadvertently, by their very existence, posed challenges to the very limits to and criteria for government secrecy.
If I were in charge back then, like my first act would be, hey, listen, stop looking for UFOs. Got to start looking for communists. Believe me, they're everywhere. You'll see a communist before
it's gonna be real easy. It's gonna be real easy. It's gonna bear fruit. It's the low hanging weirdos.
One thing at a time. We'll get rid of all the communists, then we'll start looking for the aliens. I guarantee you that one will solve the other.
Yep. If it wasn't for the communists spending all of our money on useless eaters, we could have just gone and met the aliens at their house by now. So
Werner von Braun was telling me the other day at the Thule Society.
We've got to stop buying prep for Africa. Anyway, included among these groups was NICAP, National Investigative Committee on Aerial Phenomena, APRO, Aerial Phenomena Research Organization, and later MUFON, Mutual UFO Network. I fucking hate whenever there's an acronym that has an acronym inside of it. That is the... Also, MUFON sounds like the body part of an out-of-shape lady.
Oh.
It's like, oh man, check out the MUFON that one.
MUFON that one.
Yeah.
Mickey's MUFON.
Mickey's MUFON after she got blown out too many times. As these and other UFO research groups, as well as related subcultures that sprung up during the Cold War's culture of containment, engaged in a dogged quest for information, they asked questions that posed a direct challenge to the institutional secrecy of the military-industrial space complex. Man.
Boy, they just add anything to that.
You can add
military-industrial complex.
You can just add others. Yeah, military-industrial pharmaceutical complex, military-industrial technological complex, military-industrial, I don't know, pick healthcare. I don't know if you can say healthcare rather than
I think, well, they the technology complex, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
It's so just Elon Musk.
It's Elon. The boring complex. By the time the PSB was created in 1951, reports of UFO sightings had not only increased but had become more dramatic. They were wearing makeup. They had really good scores. Thus, in early 1952, CIA Director Walter B. Smith wrote to, man, what a anonymous fucking name for.
So that's Beetle Smith. That was Ike Eisenhower's aide de camp during World War II, and kind of a badass himself.
Was he?
A little bit, but I mean, he was also like one of the early, like the spookiest of spooks.
Yeah. Walter B. Smith, Beetle Smith, wrote to PSB Director Raymond Allen that he was transmitting to the National Security Council a proposal in which it is concluded that the problems associated with unidentified flying objects appear to have implications for psychological warfare, as well as for intelligence operations. I suggest that we discuss at a board meeting the possible offensive of and defensive of utilization of these phenomena for psychological warfare purposes. Strange. I don't know if that's an editing problem or if that's
No, that's
actually
just
the
how people
quote.
talked back then.
We call it the offensive of and defensive of utilization. Maybe it's just like military jargon sort of phrasing.
That's just how Walter talked.
That's just old Beetle talking like a crazy man.
Yeah, Ike always used to say, Beatles are better seen and not heard.
That's not a thing he said.
That's exactly what he said. He said it to his mistress while he was cheating on his wife. She was his British taxi driver.
And Beetle was there too, watching from the cuck chair in the corner, I'm sure.
Well, I mean,
that's what an aide de camp does.
He aided the camp, aided the tent.
In March 1952, the Air Force's Project Grudge became Project Blue Book, and the military made unauthorized release of information about UFO sightings a criminal act. The following year, 1953, the CIA established a separate investigative panel to look into UFO sightings and analyze data gathered by Blue Book and its predecessors. Chairing the CIA-initiated panel was a physicist from Caltech and director of the Pentagon's Weapons Systems Evaluation Group named Dr. Howard P. Robertson, who also happened to be one of the U.S. scientists tasked with scooping up Nazis in their research at the close of World War II. From the outset, Robertson instructed his staff that the job of the panel was to convince the public that UFO sightings stemmed from naturally occurring phenomena and not defense research or aliens from outer space. After meeting for 12 days, the Robertson panel concluded that the growing number of UFO sightings were clogging channels of communication by irrelevant reports, and that the best possible course of action was to reduce mass hysteria by intensifying ongoing UFO debunking initiatives. You're noticing too hard.
In all seriousness, where's that movie? I would watch that instead of the fucking Monuments Men.
Oh, the one where they
went up Nazi technology,
and they're just like,
we're putting a team together.
We're putting a team together. Just fucking make people stop noticing.
I call it the jet engine. Ooh. One of those, please.
The panel's findings outlined it is kind of that movie is kind of just the Men in Black.
A little bit. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. Funny how none of these
Men in Hugo Plus Black.
None of these are, that's so true. None of these are the government trying to convince you that demons don't exist.
Right.
Just point that out. I think that if they were demons, I don't know, maybe this is just, levels of play here.
Hard to
but
tell.
If they were demons, wouldn't the government maybe the fact that they're not trying to convince you that they aren't demons is because the demons have been so successful at the demons don't exist play that the memeplex doesn't even exist in
the old
the
Kaiser
conversation.
Soze.
Yep. They obviated the memeplex, and so they are running deep cover. So, let's see. The panel's findings outlined in the Report of Meetings of the Office of Scientific Intelligence Scientific Advisory Panel on Unidentified Flying Objects, 1953.
The OSI?
The OSI. The Office of Secret Intelligence explained that the debunking aim would result in reduction of public interest in flying saucers, which today evoke a strong psychological reaction. This education could be accomplished by mass media, television, motion pictures, and popular articles. Even Walt Disney would end up getting in on the Perception Management Act. Well, no shit. They further recommended, and this is important, surveillance and close monitoring of citizen UFO research organizations because of their potentially great influence on mass thinking if widespread sightings should occur. The apparent irresponsibility and the possible use of such groups for subversive purposes should be kept in mind. The sightings, they feared, would lead to a morbid national psychology in which skillful hostile propaganda could include hysterical behavior and harmful distrust of duly constituted authority.
Well, it's a good thing they stopped at UFOs and they didn't use this kind of thinking for any other
For anything.
mass
Yeah.
psychosis on the population of the U.S.
It definitely didn't get used for any other thing. It didn't get used to, foment public support for wars. It didn't get used to foment fears about, gun control or the right wing. It didn't get used to, rile people up about a cough. It didn't get used, it didn't get used to smuggle men in dresses into every aspect of American life. It wasn't used for anything other than UFOs that I can identify.
Don't look up Operation Mockingbird, folks.
Yeah, do not research.
Mockingbird.
Don't look that up. Don't look that up. It might go poorly for you. Let's see. The PSB's interest in UFOs, or Americans' fascination with them, and new objective of finding ways to exploit the situation for psychological warfare purposes was the context in which the CIA-initiated Robertson panel was formed. The actual outcome of the panel went beyond simply intervening in popular culture and perception and placing American citizen-formed research groups under surveillance. Rather, it resulted in the escalation of the government's ontological aggression through, as Pilkington explains, a sophisticated program to muddy the waters by creating noise, a surplus of information, and bogus documentation data chaff, known in the business as disinformation, a favorite technique of the intelligence and counterintelligence agencies.
Cap, did you hear that? We're intelligence agents.
Oh man, as an intelligence agent? Well, hot damn. Ma! Hey, Ma!
No, but seriously, every time that you log into x.com and you say something not, true, you are an intelligence agent.
Yep, I'm adding documentation data chaff.
I'm slowly but surely I am influencing the way LLMs perceive the internet.
Yes, that's true. It's not disinformation if you're only lying to a robot. And that's about the time that things got really weird. Record scratch, Wendy.
You're probably wondering how I got here.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. Well, it all started as passive intelligence gathering and perception management efforts had failed to demystify UFOs. The CIA and military intelligence agencies adopted a more aggressive approach, one that not only made UFO believers seem crazy, but actually at times drove them insane. These operations were intended not to squelch the propagation of UFO or alien legends. This had proved impossible, but to make those who claim to have seen or experienced related phenomena, or even those who earnestly sought to understand why these stories existed in the first place, appear as outlandish as possible. This took place concurrently and in association with the CIA's MK-Ultra project, MK-Ultra mentioned, which explored the possibilities of brainwashing, often by using unsuspecting civilians, foreign and domestic, as unwitting experimental test subjects. Their hearts, minds, and bodies became the testing grounds for various hallucinogens and other chemicals as scientists attempted to erase memories and create new ones. In fact, the government's post-Robertson panel's UFO perception management initiative could be described as a blend between the FBI's COINTELPRO program, the CIA's MK-Ultra program, and similar ones before and after, and military psychological operations, PSYOPs. Let me just finish.
Sure.
An example of the latter occurred during the Vietnam War, when the existing myths and superstitions of the local insurgent populations were exploited for the purposes of causing fear, confusion, and demoralization. To remove this context when studying the UFO/abductee movements is a grave mistake and crucial oversight made by even the most unbiased cultural commentators, social scientists, anthropologists, psychologists, and journalists who have attempted to understand the movements or people involved.
I was just gonna say that if I were a MK Ultra doctor who was, basically mind controlling people so that they'd snap at the use of a trigger phrase, I'd probably use some really obscure song, one that you'd never hear.
One that you wouldn't hear all the time.
Yeah, but like as soon as you hear it once, you just go on like a spree.
Right.
And yeah, I think that theory has legs.
What song would you use?
Oh, I'd use a whole bunch. I'd probably start with Bobby Darin's "Mac the Knife," just because
Ooh, that's a great one.
I'm a little cheeky, Yeah,
You could do Maxwell Silver Hammer too.
Oh man, yeah, that would be yeah. But you got to make sure that it's like it's obscure enough that it's not played all the time on the radio, but people have heard of it. So definitely somebody popular, either really popular or kind of popular. Sorry, really popular deep cuts or kind of popular's greatest hit.
I would probably use like a bunch of Cole Porter songs.
Anything goes.
Anything goes. Yeah, anything goes makes you go on a spree. That'd be great. Does that not work? Yeah.
Well, you'd never hear that on the radio, but yeah, maybe.
Well, but you might hear like someone uses it in a movie, and then all the people that you primed with, where they. I mean, I don't know. They go to.
I don't know. I didn't hear anything goes in The Dark Knight Returns.
Well, anything goes is in the Temple of Doom.
Oh, fair enough.
They have the Mandarin version of Anything Goes in the opening.
Now we're getting a Manchurian Candidate.
Yep. I think is Anything Goes in Fallout 3?
Might be. It wasn't in Fallout 4. It might have been 3.
Huh. It might be in Fallout 3.
And technically it was in Midnight in Paris, but that doesn't really count because it was just like he went back in time to go meet Cole Porter.
Sick.
Yeah.
I mean, Cole Porter was actually like solid bangers on Cole Porter. If you ever have a chance to see, like, if you wanna like take your special lady friend out for a nice night and she likes the theater, look up a production of Anything Goes. It's a good time. You will not regret it.
I've heard good things.
You will not regret it. It's a reliable musical theater that is.
Don't look into his personal life. You'll just get upset.
That guy would fuck anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not gay, but definitely not limited.
Straight.
Yeah.
Some secret third thing.
Back in the day we just called them poiverts. Anyhow.
You know who else is really easy listening? Glenn Miller.
I don't actually know Glenn Miller.
He was a big band sort of band leader.
Bongo 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 that's a Danny Kaye song. Yeah, that's a Danny Kaye song. Danny Kaye has a lot of good songs though. White Christmas, great movie. Danny Kaye, Bing Crosby. One of the greatest musicals ever made.
I like the Bells of St. Mary's one.
What?
As far as Bing Crosby movies goes, the Bells at St. Mary's is better than White.
You know what? I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, that's great. It's him and Ingrid Bergman, or what's her name? It might be Ingrid Bergman. Great film. And
anyway, I appreciate that we're basically in agreement here that classic songs are the correct ones to use as triggers for MK Ultra indoctrinations.
Well, yeah, so, who wants to go on a spree listening to Kesha?
How I don't know. Soft spot in my heart.
Woke up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy. Oh no.
I had a tweet that did some numbers today about that actually. Because she's re-recording that song. Without mentioning P. Diddy.
Woke up in the morning feeling like Cash Patel.
It's the what do you call it? I can't even remember what the fuck I said. So
it was such a good tweet. You got like
yeah,
3 likes.
Oh yeah. This is the Robert E. Lee statue melting moment for DL niggas. That's the, here we go.
I do remember liking that one. It's pretty good.
Anyhow,
you get one, Cap.
You get one. You get my approval. Thanks, Papa. Anyhow, let's see where we are. I've completely lost my fucking place.
You just ended at psyops. Or no, sorry.
No, I read the whole
while
paragraph.
all the methods employed.
Yep. While all the methods employed had been used against the UFO buffs earlier, after the Robertson panel, the interventions were conducted in a more organized, systematic, sustained, and intensified manner. To begin with, UFO sightings and, on occasion, alien encounters were staged in the U.S. and elsewhere, after which witnesses' reports about what they saw and their subsequent activities could be studied, both psychologically, how did they react at the time of the sightings and afterwards, and sociologically, whom did they tell and how did the information travel? What the fuck?
I did not know we stage anything, yeah. Well, I mean, like, I always suspected, but...
Yeah. What the fuck? The like it's who the Tuskegee experiments were the only time that the U.S. ever did anything bad, that the U.S. government ever did anything bad in terms of
and everybody
research.
Gets one bad thing. We did the Tuskegee experiments. The Russians, did Sputnik, or I guess the gulags.
Yeah. They did the ethnic cleansing of millions of Germans from the western side of Russia.
Well, no, but that was they deserve that.
Well, they were
war
Germans.
or something.
Yeah, a war. There was a war.
We were at war.
Secondly, the Air Force, CIA, NSA, and other agencies continued to spy on the UFO community by embedding operatives within citizen UFO research groups. But rather than simply gathering information, the operatives acted as disinformation specialists, real-life men in black, or mirage men. Targeted select individuals, often those who had already gained some clout and respect among their peers. The mirage men would approach the targeted individual, either directly or through an intermediary, and offer to provide the truth about what the government was hiding, sometimes in exchange for information about the latest rumors, trends, and goings-on in the UFO community. Having secured the target's willing or unknowing compliance, the operatives would provide them with faked government documents about human-alien treaties, super-secret underground military bases that doubled as alien strongholds, and faked footage of alien autopsies. Some Mirage men, having gained clout and influence within the subculture, sometimes as spokespeople of citizen groups, would then proceed to make the most outrageous claims that, while persuading some already true believers who then propagated and added to these stories, only tended to make UFO discourse appear ludicrous to the larger populace.
They didn't have anything better to do. There was a Cold War on. Like they didn't have any Russians that could go like
we call these Hananias. That's what
seriously.
Yeah.
Well, actually, and we're gonna, as soon as Coast to Coast gets brought up, we're gonna talk about John Lear, who was definitely a spook and who was definitely a Mirage man, because he did exactly this. Especially you listen to his appearances on Coast to Coast AM. He talks about some wild stuff like there's a soul catching machine on the moon that when you die it like sucks you up, and you don't want to go to the light because that's how you get reincarnated or something. It's wild stuff.
I'm gonna be real with you. That's bullshit, but I believe it because it's very close to the Philip K. Dick, satellites that shoot pink light into your brain to keep you trapped in the Black Iron prison.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But those satellites don't exist. He had epilepsy.
I do recommend Mark Pilkington's book Mirage Men, because it's literally about how the CIA made a guy go insane over this UFO stuff.
Amazing.
I think he killed himself, or he got committed and then killed himself, maybe.
To be fair, sick job. If you're a Mirage man, reach out.
Yeah. Well, open lines tonight. Our Mirage Man line.
Our Mirage Man line is open. DMs are open. If you
west
are
of the Rockies, you are on the air.
Yep. We take super chats from anyone, including Mirage Men. Give us those spooky bucks.
The Edge Man is here telling us we're hoes.
Oh, yes. With a bold claims for a guy with edging in his last name. And it's not a pseudonym, folks. Yeah.
No, that was that's his real name.
That's his real name.
The Edge Man.
The Edge Man.
The Edgemeister making copies.
The Ass Man. I'm Cosmo
Proctology.
The Ass Man.
I'm the Ass Man.
Proctologists are the funniest doctors. Let's see. Finally, fictional movies and purportedly non-fictional documentaries about aliens and UFOs were funded with the effect of not only controlling popular conceptions of UFOs, but linking even the most run-of-the-mill UFO settings to delusional beliefs in aliens. The benefit of all this was not to dissuade the belief in aliens and UFOs as it had once been, but to nurture and exploit these beliefs, thereby shielding or drawing attention away from the existence, research, development, testing, and real-world use of actual classified next-generation aircraft and technologies and weapons, including, among others, biological, radiological, and electronic ones. Once the disinformation program was underway, the number of UFO sightings grew and details reported by the witnesses became more bizarre and baffling. While not quite knowing what exactly was going on, the UFO buffs sensed that something was off. The wool was being pulled over their eyes, but how? The government had something to do with it. They knew something, but what? Eventually, the nation's largest citizen UFO research groups began to cry cover up. And not just to each other. Letters were written to government agencies and politicians, demanding an answer. In order to help put them at ease and restore faith in government, congressional hearings were held to look into the accusations, first in 1960 and again in 1966. Predictably, the hearings gave the intelligence services a clean bill of health. The government had done what it could to understand the UFO phenomena and rightfully concluded it was imaginary. This caused the ranks of the increasingly suspicious citizen UFO research groups to swell further, and membership reached record numbers, a growth that only presented another opportunity for the shadowy perception managers.
I like how the UFO investigations by Congress bookend the Kennedy investigation.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, look over here, right? Are you telling me, are you trying to imply via coded language that John F. Kennedy was assassinated by aliens?
There was a magic bullet. It was formed by Masons to keep us from knowing the truth.
To keep us from knowing the truth. To keep us from knowing that there's a treasure map on the back of the Declaration of Independence.
Man. But in all seriousness, that line is from the Justice League cartoon from like the early 2000s. There was
seriously?
There was a character called the Question, who was a conspiracy theorist. He was like my favorite character ever in anything. Okay. And he talks about various conspiracy theories, and he also taught me what the plastic tips on shoelaces are called. They are
Anglets?
called aglets, and their true purpose is sinister.
Amazing. Well,
he also goes through everyone's trash.
Everybody's. Every single person's. Is that's his superpower? Like being able to go through everyone's trash in a single night, like Santa Claus delivering gifts?
Well, actually,
in reverse.
So the question was, okay, so you know how Rorschach was based on Mr. A?
No.
Okay, so the Watchmen characters were based on I think they're called like the Charlton Comics characters, right?
Right.
One of them was called Mr. A. He wore a fake face, and he was actually like an Ayn Randian objectivist. Right?
Nice. Okay.
So Alan Moore takes that and changes the mask to be a Rorschach test, and basically keeps some of the right-wing craziness for Rorschach, right? Well, later on, Denny O'Neil takes Mr. A and creates the Question. He has a very similar backstory, very similar politics, and he goes around. I think it's called Opal City, basically being Batman, except more of an objectivist. Sorry, thank you, Gabe. Yes, Mr. A
Amazing.
was a Ditko character. You're
Oh,
completely
that's
correct.
cool.
Yep. So Steve Ditko was an
based
objectivist.
based Steve Ditko. Yeah.
Yes, and the Huntress did want his punctuation mark. That is correct. And yes, Gabe, Justice League Unlimited. Okay, all right. It's the same show. It's just a continuation. They just expand the cast. It's still Bruce Timm's baby. Like you don't have to out nerd me on my own show, Gabe.
I mean, he's doing a bang up job.
He really is. I'm very impressed.
Good old Steve Ditko.
I can tell that guy's never seen a boob.
So true. So true. And you've seen two.
At least.
At least two. And without looking down.
Anyway. Got it.
Once the disinformation program was underway, the number of UFO sightings grew and details reported by witnesses became more bizarre and baffling. While not quite knowing what exactly was going on, the UFO buffs wait, I already read this shit. Sorry. After the hearings concluded, the Air Force, backed by other government agencies, contracted with the University of Colorado to establish a body that, while posing as an independent investigatory committee tasked with the further study of UFOs, was rather a working group meant to depict those who reported seeing UFOs and those who dared question the government's honesty in the matter as mentally unstable, and devised further methods of actually making them so. Actual but human covert research and development of advanced technologies like those over Area 51 and other unsavory projects would draw less attention and criticism from more credible people if shielded by a cacophonous circus of stories about alien invasions, such as those that culminated in the Great Abduction Panic of the 1980s and 90s, during which great masses of people came to believe that they had been kidnapped and victimized by otherworldly intruders. Meanwhile, the secrets of these operations meant to contain were constantly under the threat of leaking. Like the time some guys and the widows of other guys who actually had worked at Area 51 sued the Pentagon, alleging that the chemicals they worked with there had caused them to develop cancer. Perhaps best illustrative of the disinformation process at play and the long-lasting effects it can have is the classic case of Paul Benowitz.
This is the guy I was talking about.
Right. A patriotic and brilliantly skilled, but overly trusting and highly imaginative engineer, physicist, and defense contractor. In 1979, Benowitz began picking up strange radio transmissions and seeing unexplainable lights in the sky near his home, located across from Kirtland Air Force Base in New Mexico. Fearing this might be some sort of threat to national security, perhaps from another planet, Benowitz contacted the base security services. They sent out an intelligence officer named Richard Doty, who befriended Benowitz. Doty, okay. Thus,
he's a real bastard, so you got to know his name.
Got it. Thus beginning what Pilkington describes as one of the strangest espionage campaigns of the post-war era. Then the NSA got in on the act. Hey, fellas, we're stepping it.
Not anymore, you're not.
Oh man, yeah. Fire in the Sky. I watched Fire in the Sky when I was like 10. It was too early. It was too early for Fire in the Sky. That movie was terrifying.
And Gabe, you're completely correct. Bruce Timm will not rest until he has ruined Batman and Batgirl. He's a real creep.
Never seen it. Probably won't ever see it.
He's obsessed with making Batman and Batgirl a thing.
Okay.
Even though he's the total age gap guy. Like she's like 16 in the comic books, and Batman is Batman.
Bruce Timm created Harley Quinn, right?
Yes, he did. So that's strike two.
Yeah, that is rough. Yeah. God. Oh my God, Penultimo. This is so good. Rorschach's best contribution was that one tweet asking if he's so base, why does he walk around with black porn on his face?
So
true. So
great.
true, King.
I thought that was my father beating me.
I thought that was your father beating you. Rather than just tell Benowitz that he was seeing tests of their own classified aircraft and ask him to remain silent about his observations, Doty and his higher-ups intentionally amplified his interstellar suspicions. Over the next few years, Benowitz was put under constant and obvious surveillance and courted by mirage men like Doty, who passed him fake government documents, gave him a computer that appeared to be receiving transmissions from malevolent ETs, and created a fake UFO base for him to find.
So one of the things that Benowitz finds on that fake UFO base is that the aliens and humans have basically a miniature war because of some misunderstanding, and he finds all sorts of evidence of like a slaughter.
Oh my god.
Yeah. This guy. So
did they use
Doty,
real human bodies?
I actually don't know. I don't remember at this point. But Benowitz, or not Benowitz, sorry, Doty had a budget to just mess with this guy, and
I want to be honest with you, that is a dream job.
Kind of fun, yeah, but also it ruined Benowitz's life.
I mean, yes, that is an unfortunate side effect, but also dream job. Like
imagine
how great would it be to just like be able to get to pick the person?
Right. No, but this guy calls in just saying, "Hey, I saw something weird." And Doty was like, I can use this. I have
all this guy in particular.
I have all this money laying around for special projects, and you just became my special project.
You just became my special project.
Well, don't say it all creepy like that.
Yeah. Well, it is creepy. Like
this is like gang stalking, but like up to an 11.
You just have one guy who's masterminding an ARG just for your ass, like with a real budget. Like what the absolute fuck?
Internet enjoyer, you missed earlier. It was confirmed that these were FAA approved flights, so some sort of domestic operation. We haven't gotten much more info on that though.
Yeah, they said it was for research. They were not specific, but it was. It's an acknowledged thing now.
They're researching naked ladies.
Naked ladies. Looking at those Jersey Shore bimbos, you know the ones I'm talking about.
All too well.
We're trying to find the Zoomer Snooki. Let's see here. For him,
he already has HPV.
Benowitz, emboldened by his government friends, was encouraged to believe and came to believe that he had stumbled onto the ET secret, and he was scared. The aliens were not our friends. They were invaders engaged in a horrible plot against humanity and would stop at nothing, even abducting and torturing children. These men in black recruited some of the most well-respected UFO researchers to help trick Benowitz, ironically lured by promises that if they spied on the UFO movement and passed bogus but official-looking information to Benowitz and others, they themselves would receive the actual proof about the government's classified knowledge of alien life. But Benowitz didn't know this and immersed himself in the subculture with only the best of intentions. He was, he thought, going to help them understand the truth, and to this end, he shared his unknowingly bogus information. And as it appeared to have official bona fides, it spread like wildfire. The lies fed to Benowitz spawned a rich pseudo-history of human-alien interaction that stretched back at least 2,000 years and led to much of the UFO alien mythology that appeared in its wake. Benowitz himself, however, having been the constant target of aggressive psychological warfare for years, became increasingly paranoid and delusional, scattered and afraid until eventually in 1988 his family had him committed to a mental institution. Basically the last time you could get somebody committed involuntarily to a mental institution. But there you go. Today, the Benowitz affair acts as a cautionary tale among the UFO contactee subcultures, although not a very effective one, as despite that deceptive government origins of his information were revealed to the community, many elements of the alien narrative that had been spun from it were accepted as truth. Sincere curiosity coupled with bad information generated a mythology that was built upon by more bad information and entrenched in the imaginations of a mostly honest and well-meaning populace, some of whom developed an unshakable fanatical faith in the Benowitz lies, even when those lies were exposed as such. Benowitz himself refused to believe what had happened when Doty and others explained it to him. The lies were everything he knew to be true. That is wild. That is utterly fucking wild. Occasionally, professional government-sanctioned disinformers became whistleblowers and revealed the role they played in disrupting and discrediting UFO groups and their friends in the growing contactee movement. Implicated in the deception were the CIA, Air Force, Navy, NSA, and Defense Intelligence Agency, to name a few. For some, especially after the Benowitz affair, the sanctioned interventions past and present were obvious given the prevalence of individuals with military intelligence and CIA backgrounds who showed up out of nowhere and offering what they said was forbidden information fruit, quickly became highly regarded members and spokespeople within UFO contactee research organizations, including APRO, NICAP, and MUFON. While government employment does not preclude interests from the phenomena under study, the Johnny-come-lately interlopers attracted the suspicion of some of their more paranoid and critical-minded peers by using their positions to spin elaborate yarns disguised as disclosures that stretched the tolerance of even the most imaginative science fiction writers, yarns that led to deep and lasting schisms among skywatchers. So I guess this is maybe the point where we ask, what about David Fravor?
Oh yeah. So for those of you not in the know, Commander Fravor is the UFO leaker guy who released that video, that official U.S. Navy,
the Go Fast video,
yeah,
and
where the UFO is like hanging around and then turns sideways and then shoots off into nowhere.
Yeah,
I'm guessing that's an op, which is unfortunate because that means either George Knapp is complicit or he's just really, really dumb.
Well, I mean, this particular round of stories has made it into the congressional record. Obviously, there have been like some pretty high profile. There was some pretty high profile testimony in front of Congress about this.
Well, I mean, even before that, I mean, Harry Reid held a few different panels.
Yeah.
On and that George Knapp spoke at.
Yeah, that's true. And Harry Reid, former Senate Majority Leader, right? Senate or House?
Senate. He was him. There were a lot of pictures of him and Nancy Pelosi together in the Obama years.
Yeah,
and before.
But yeah, he was always a big UFO guy. But it's not clear if he was an honest UFO guy or if he was just like part of the intelligence apparatus.
I tend to believe that. I think it was an earnest. I think it was an earnest thing, but I also think he knew more than he let on.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's true. I mean, he was
he
was definitely in Washington for a very long time. So if anyone had access to it,
and the only reason that I cast aspersions on George Knapp is because so the Commander Fravor thing is one thing, but he was also the guy that discovered Bob Lazar.
Right. Exactly.
He was the he interviewed him for the local Las Vegas sort of television station, right? The news station. Then that's how he got into UFOs at all. He sometimes host of Coast to Coast AM, probably the better replacement host for Art Bell. whenever Art took a break. I think he still does episodes on some weekends to take over for George Norrie once in a while. But it's strange that he has 2 different UFO contacts, both of which are highly publicized.
Well, I mean, why is it weird that he has 2?
Because a lot of Bob Lazar's story doesn't add up, and he's
Sure.
I don't know. I have my doubts about Bob Lazar himself.
It's not particularly weird that that Knapp would have multiple.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know. I guess
he's high enough profile to guest host Coast to Coast.
Right, right.
It's like,
and I mean,
not that weird, right?
He's done a lot. He actually co-wrote Hunt for the Skinwalker, which is a great book, and a few other things. It's more that if Fravor is also an op, and I don't trust Bob Lazar, and if Fravor is an op, George Knapp is either a sucker or he's in on it. You know what I mean? It's all circumstantial.
The Lazar stuff is almost certainly an op. Like it's too specific and too weird. Yeah. And also too, like, I don't know, good for the government if true, right?
Mhm.
Like it's the belief in that stuff is good for the government.
It
makes them look so competent.
Right. It'd be really funny if Bob Lazar just had a picture of himself with Tim McVeigh.
Just
he's like, I'm not showing this to anybody.
Right. All right. Small ripples of irrationality can
and he's involved with John Lear also, who is definitely a spook. John, I mentioned him before. So his dad was the inventor of the Lear jet. He was a CIA pilot who flew in Southeast Asia and definitely smuggled drugs from South America to the United States
for Iran-Contra.
He was. He wasn't Barry Seal, but he was very involved in that sort of stuff. And he was the guy with like the soul catcher. He talked about the soul catcher or whatever on the moon.
Got it.
Just very, very odd stuff. And
great job. Great gig. What an awesome gig.
Seriously.
Small ripples of irrationality can make big waves. And the types of irrationality seeded by military and civilian intelligence agencies followed a repeated pattern lasting decades. Within days of his arrest, news reports noted the influence that the lunatic rantings of Milton William Cooper had over the thinking of Timothy McVeigh. And when his attorneys asked him what public figures might help them understand his way of thinking, William Cooper was one of the people he said they might want to talk with. They did. I'm sure William Cooper was very happy about that.
Yeah, and fun fact about Bill Cooper, he only got killed by the government after he disavowed basically everything he wrote in Behold a Pale Horse about aliens specifically. He realized that he had gotten duped and then happened to get murdered.
How strange.
How strange
that it would happen in that order.
But Behold a Pale Horse is a fun book, and I'm sure she'll get into it.
Yeah, she does on the next page.
Wonderful.
Cooper, a kook's kook, if there ever was one, had first appeared on the UFO scene in 1988, just as Benowitz was getting locked up in the booby hatch. Thank you, Wendy.
Come on, Wendy.
Hold on. I'm just going to reread this sentence. Cooper, a kook's kook, if there ever was one, had first appeared in the UFO scene in 1988, just as Benowitz was getting locked up in the booby hatch. Yeah.
Mickey McVeigh mentioned.
Except oh man, I'd love to swing Mickey McVeigh's booby hatch wide open, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, the old moose hangers.
Cooper really made a name for himself the next year, though, when he spoke at the behest of admitted and known Mirage men at MUFON conference in Las Vegas. There he delivered what was perhaps the most intriguing and bizarre tale they ever heard, which is saying a lot. He claimed that after reporting a UFO sighting to his commanders while serving in the Air Force during Vietnam, He was recruited into a secret military intelligence unit tasked with recovering crashed flying saucers, and at some point was transferred into naval intelligence. In the course of his duties, he was exposed to highly classified information, and now, out of the kindness of his heart, wanted to share this with the world, even though his former employers kept trying to prevent him from doing so.
I have a little bit of breaking news, or at least breaking rumor.
Okay.
The helicopter pilot of the Black Hawk in that accident, or in that collision, rather, may have been trans.
Seriously?
That is the rumor.
Well, that makes it sound like less of an accident and more of an on purpose.
That is, yeah, that's the rumor.
Huh. All right.
So
well,
we will keep you guessing instead of informed.
Yeah, we'll keep you. Thanks. We'll find out. We'll find out
And then tell you something else.
Yeah, we'll find out and then tell you something completely different.
Because we're feds.
Cooper laid out the information he uncovered, in scare quotes, in his rambling, internally contradicting, and often incoherent book, Lomez's Old Profile Pic, Behold a Pale Horse, published in 1991. Within the book, and then in his subsequent writing and shortwave radio program, Cooper outlined a highly complex, unified conspiracy theory that assimilated elements of all manner of already circulating counter-narratives, and even introduced a few of his own. A large portion of Cooper's mythology, at least part of it that concerns aliens and UFOs, is directly traceable to, if not wholly grafted from, the fabricated disinformation fed to Paul Benowitz, and through him, the larger UFO/contactee community. The story he told would develop and change afterward, and together went a little something like this. Chlorophyll-based aliens landed in Roswell, New Mexico in 1949, after which President Truman created the NSA to communicate with them. The CIA was created for the same purpose. For the next few years, many alien-piloted UFOs crashed on Earth, and inside of them were found the bodies of countless dead aliens and more than a few living ones. In 1954, the U.S. government, and specifically President Eisenhower, who was determined to wrestle and beat the alien problem, cut a deal with the extraterrestrials via their ambassador, His Omnipotent Highness Krill, who explained
Hail
Krill! Damn the whales! Who explained that he and the other aliens of his planet were facing extinction because of giant whales. The terms of the treaties continued to be negotiated over time, with little give here from the U.S. and a lot of take there from Krill and his people. Ultimately, the U.S. gave the aliens free rein to experiment on humans as, in order to save themselves, they needed to tinker around with human genetics and extract glands, enzymes, and blood plasma. In return, the aliens provided the U.S. government with advanced technology, and as an added bonus, in what became an interplanetary exchange program, the aliens sent some of their scientists to come stay in a network of underground bunkers specifically built with the alien needs in mind. One of the bases was Area 51, where in 1991, at least 600 aliens lived. Krill put the government in touch with other races of space people, including the Etherians, with whom more deals were cut. People in the government who didn't care for this type of thing were abducted, driven to nervous breakdowns, or murdered. John F. Kennedy, who knew the aliens already had a base on the moon and was about to blow the lid off the alien government alliance cover-up, was assassinated by his driver, who shot him in the head with a gas pressure device developed by aliens from the Trilateral Commission, or alternately, in a later version, a deadly shellfish toxin, which caused his head to explode in public.
His head exploded from a...
and you can see the driver turn around and shoot Kennedy. This can all clearly be
film.
This can all clearly be seen in the Zapruder film.
This is why the man with the umbrella had to be murdered.
Kennedy wasn't even supposed to know about the aliens, but someone in the inner circle of knowers who called themselves Majesty 12 had loose lips, and therefore Kennedy had to die. MJ-12 didn't like Kennedy anyways, which is obvious when you look at who some of the members were. Allen Dulles, John Foster Dulles, J. Edgar Hoover, and George H.W. Bush, to name a few, sodomites all. The secret government created UFO research organizations, especially MUFON, in order to spread disinformation and cover their tracks. Sometimes the humans and aliens didn't get along and engaged in various skirmishes, like that time during the Vietnam War when the aliens had abducted entire villages and more than a few U.S. soldiers, whom they then mutilated before dropping them back to Earth. These types of hijinks were meant as a warning to the humans that they better get with the alien program or else. Plus, an ice age was coming, and the humans knew what had to happen. They would need the aliens' help. So they decided to work together and formed a plan. By the year 1998, or alternately 2000, Lucifer would return to Earth by way of a satanic ritual involving the Pyramid of Giza and George H.W. Bush. That's true. That one happened.
That one actually happened.
Once the satanic forces were let loose upon the Earth, the ruling elite, consisting now of both humans and aliens, would usher in the new millennium by revealing the truth about the alien-human alliance, and the ensuing panic would declare martial law, imprison people, especially Americans and gun owners, in concentration camps, thereby allowing them to usher in a socialist new world order.
Instead, we got 9/11.
In anticipation of this, the conspirators sometimes attempted to destabilize things a little by hypnotically inducing people to commit mass murder and other devilish acts. Given that homosexuals, blacks, and Hispanics would most likely be the ones to screw up the plan, and to help ensure the compliance of the soon-to-be enslaved sheeple, the aliens and government conspired to do a host of horrible things, including introducing and spreading AIDS and Prozac, and abducting people and implanting tracking and mind control devices into them. After the New World Order was established and everything was under control, the cure for AIDS would be revealed, and any of the survivors who had gotten it would be okay. A pretty nice gesture on the part of the overlords, if you think about it. There was a chance that all of this could have been prevented, but that would require the sheeple to rise up and fight aliens, humans and hybrids alike, in a war of apocalyptic proportions. I present to you that the peaceful citizens of the nation are fully justified in taking whatever steps may be necessary, including violence, to identify, counterattack, and destroy the enemy. You must be prepared to fight, and if necessary, to die. Preserve your God-given right to freedom, advised Cooper.
That's such a good dialogue tag to add to that. This is an advisory.
This is an advisory. Yeah, absolutely.
Not warned Cooper or schizophrenically shouted Cooper.
Advised. Yes.
This is merely an advisory.
He was murdered by George H.W. Bush himself because he refused to engage in anal sex. There's more to it than that, but you get the picture. Behold a Pale Horse caused an immediate sensation within the UFO subculture, and Cooper became a popular speaker on the UFO conference circuit. Backing him was former CIA pilot, international arms merchant, and Iran-Contra player with deep intelligence ties, turned Mirage man John Lear, mentioned, and Bill Moore, an admitted disinformer and major player in the Benowitz affair. Both Lear and Moore fed Cooper information originating from the Benowitz operation. Cooper then embellished and added to this information. Cooper drew the ire of a sizable portion of earnest UFO
he didn't
research.
say anything about homosexuals. Believe me, it's in there.
Believe me. It's so true. Cooper drew the ire of a sizable portion of the earnest UFO researchers immediately upon his emergence in the scene. Given his relationship with people like John Lear, the contradictory, divisive, and outrageous stories Cooper propagated, his complete lack of documentation, and the obviously fabricated documentation he did produce, yawn number 2, Cooper had a difficult time making friends in the UFO community.
That was a long one too, Cap. Damn.
That was a real one.
You've been holding that one for a while.
Oh, man, I've been fighting them off. Let's see. Many of his peers made no secret of their opinion that he was a drunk, lying fascist, and Cooper, in turn, continued to accuse his peers of being wrong about the drunk part, being part of a big conspiracy. Sometimes, when they questioned him or called him out, Cooper threatened to beat them up or kill them. Those who didn't think Cooper was intentionally lying tended to attribute his nonsense to the fact that he was just dumb and gullible. Wow, that whole
Boy,
series
he was
of
Frog Twitter before Frog Twitter.
Shit.
Oh man, his feed would be awesome.
That whole series of that whole series of sentences were just they were just Norm Macdonald lines.
A real
Those who
battle
didn't
axe.
think Cooper was intentionally lying tended to attribute his nonsense to the fact that he was just dumb and gullible, right? Anyway, still, Cooper's book amalgamated nearly the entire history of UFO alien narratives, as well as most popular science fiction movies and books, and many other ones that had been circulating in other fringe subcultures for quite some time. Everyone could find at least a few things they recognized in the book, and it's circulated rapidly. Even Louis Farrakhan was a fan, and that motherfucker doesn't like shit.
That's true. He is notoriously stingy with his likes.
Dude, Louis Farrakhan. I ain't like nobody. Whites, blacks, Jews, Arabs, Asians, dogs, cats, trucks, trees, birds. I don't like nobody.
He was the first hater.
Yeah. Haters International.
I'm pretty sure he killed Malcolm X.
He probably did kill Malcolm X, actually.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he probably literally killed Malcolm X. In the United States of Paranoia, Jesse Walker remarks on how the United States of Paranoia is a good like debut album title.
Oh, that's got Green Day written all over it.
Oh my god, it really does. Yeah, it's a little cringe, but it's also like, it's like a little comfy.
Good,
a little comfy.
Jesus of Suburbia is a good
track.
track.
Wanna be an American idiot. Yeah, exactly.
That was a good album. Like it's so cringe looking back, but back at the time.
It's W core.
It really, oh man, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's sad to say that I miss the Iraq War.
I miss the Iraq War. I don't miss the Iraq War.
No, but I
was just younger.
Yeah, I miss being younger.
In the United States of Paranoia, Jesse Walker remarks on how, more so than any other era during the 1990s, the subcultural legends of militiamen, hippies, black nationalists, ufologists,
just say ufologists,
activists opposed to drug war abuses, sovereign citizens, and white separatists overlapped and blended. Indeed, behold a pale horse lifted from patriot, militia, and white supremacist rhetoric, and after the book came out, Cooper made the rounds in those circles as well. After the UFO crowd began to scorn and debunk him, he focused more on the villainies of the federal government and de-emphasized the interstellar aspects of his master narrative, until eventually Cooper suggested that he may have made some inaccurate conclusions, and the entire Alien Alliance thing had probably been a lie planted by satanic elements of the U.S. government, who would, in the not-too-distant future, stage a false flag, hostile alien takeover, and usher in the New World Order.
This is about the time that he was murdered.
It was at about that time that he was moited, strangely enough. Cooper went on to form his own freedom fighters called the Arizona Militia, described in one report as a far right-wing movement preparing to repel alien invaders. Not those kinds. He actively encouraged stocking up on as much food and assault rifles as possible.
They just go out into the desert and they shoot at cans. Mexicans.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, Goya has some of the best canned goods, and it's a Mexican brand, so if you wanted to eat what was in the cans before you shot them, obviously you'd be buying Goya.
Goya should do a campaign where it's just Saturn eating his son, but it's a can of beans.
It's a can of beans, and Saturn is wearing Saturn's wearing a giant sombrero and has a bushy
Saturn devouring his beans.
Yep. It's great because it's Goya, right? Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
Yes, it works on both levels.
It works on 2 levels.
Works on 2 levels, which is as many levels as you would need. Dude, number 1, yeah, but you can get the deposit return on a Jarritos bottle because they still use glass. And 2, penultimo, keep your comments where they belong in El Salvador. So
wait, I was letting a global South talk to me in a
Penultimo is one of the good ones because he's
he's
there.
still there.
He's there. Yeah, he hasn't left. You can come to visit though. You can get a tourist visa. That's fine.
No, that's how they overstay.
He's not gonna. It's fine. Well, he's one of the based ones. They got based ones down in El Salvador. Don't you know? Haven't you heard that?
Wait, are you telling me for the first time that Nayib Bukele is
Penultimo is Nayib Bukele's alt? That's the rule. That's the God's honest truth.
Penultimo, you're not, by saying that, you're making me think that you coyoted a bunch of people across the border.
Dude, such a good job.
Being a
coyote. Yeah, because like half the time they just murder them and leave them in the desert, and the other half of the time they
do it.
Yeah, they do it. Yeah, it just gets too, that's how it is.
You can't pledge the fifth. You're not an American.
It's actually not it's not pledge either. It's plead.
Yeah, that's how I know that your grasp on English is tenuous.
I claim my rights under.
I wonder what the El Salvadorian Fifth Amendment is. It's like never drink Pacifico after Corona.
I don't know. We'll have to ask Nayib. Although it is kind of crazy that it took an ethnic Arab to fix El Salvador. It's kind of wild.
Yeah. Wow, globalism works.
Well, it works for him. Dude, I'm so sorry that Miranda is revoking her rights from you. You got to get a different lady, man. She's a real battle axe. Anyway, I'm not sure where. Oh, there we go. He actively encouraged stocking up on as much food and assault rifles as possible, telling his fans that this could only improve the odds of survival once the hostile alien government takeover began, or in his post-alien days, just the government. Cooper, having now married UFOs and aliens to militias within the popular consciousness, also set about marrying all of them to the white power movement, whose events he also began to attend. It wasn't just it's almost like he was single-handedly responsible for the blending of all conspiracy theories into one thing that the government could justify using intelligence dollars to fuck with openly, Oh boy, wait, that's what we have now. Or well, what we had, I don't know, what we had 11 days ago. Who knows what it's like now. So it wasn't just heavy hitters in the UFO crowd that shunned and reviled Cooper. So too did run-of-the-mill conspiracy theory notables and those in the Patriot movement, many of whom denounced Cooper as nothing more than a fraud, liar, and charlatan. It didn't help that he accused them, too, of being CIA agents, Illuminati dupes, and disinformation plans. Pretty much everybody knew that Cooper had stolen the ideas and research of others, in some cases blatantly plagiarized them, and had lied about his military background, a particularly gruesome offense among the Patriots. As it turned out, Cooper's official military records reflected he had only been a low-level clerk, although, of course, if he was even kind of who he said he was, it would not be documented in his official records.
Yeah, that's a little weird because he talks about how he was, I forget what the exact wording was, but he said that he worked in the Office of Naval Intelligence, and several people point out, like, well, that doesn't actually exist, or whatever verbiage he said didn't actually exist, and maybe it was the Department of Naval Intelligence.
Got it.
But.
So you can it turns out you can just say you do things.
Yeah, and then his he would say, it's like, well, of course you wouldn't, like, of course it doesn't exist officially.
Right. Yeah.
He did the see, the best part about being
you just
a liar
know.
Is, when it comes to government stuff, is you can just say that people are ignorant of the truth.
Yeah, you're just not woke.
I believe it's called gaslighting.
It is. That's crazy. Why would you say that? That's so crazy. Yeah, no, for real though. It's well, I mean that's why psyops work, basically. Like that's why infiltrators and psyops work. Anyway. After Oklahoma City bombing, news reports linked Cooper's tirades to McVeigh's mindset and warned of the millennial cult typified by both that had snatched on so many minds as of late. What? That's such a weird sentence.
Yeah, no, we have our own millennial cults these days.
God, you mean the ZZ?
Yeah.
The Ziz trans murder cult. Man, that fucking helicopter pilot.
Yeah, well, yeah. If that turns out to be real, we could have our very own. We could do an investigation cap. We could write a book about it, and then we could feature it on Library of Mass Destruction.
And then get murdered by troons.
Yep.
Cool. All right, I'm down. Just move to a state that has castle doctrine, so that when a bunch of assault on precinct 13 trannies try to break into your house, you can just gun them down.
I haven't even done anything, and half of them are already dead.
41% were dead. 41% weren't even armed. They just ran into the pillbox.
It was like Tucker and Dale versus Evil. These kids are killing themselves. That was such a good movie.
They stood outside and started singing "Come Out, Ye Black and Trans."
Come out and face me like a man.
Yeah, right. Well, they said like a person. All right. After the Oklahoma City bombing, news reports linked Cooper's tirades to McVeigh's mindset and warned of the millennial cult typified by both that had snatched the many minds as of late. That's such a fucked up sentence. Wendy, work on that. The reports neglected to mention the disdain that most of those within the Patriot movement felt it had loudly expressed towards Cooper. That part of the story was only reported later in articles about Cooper's 2001 death. Cooper said the 1995 reports was actually the militia crowd's ideal presidential candidate and a guru to tyranny haters everywhere. His book, The Manifesto of the Militia Movement. This, of course, really pissed off the Patriots, who had just suffered the most crippling blow to any shred of respectability among the mainstream they had enjoyed.
If I remember correctly, he might have been murdered right before 9/11, and
he was in Tower 7. That's
the Tower 7's nickname was the William Cooper Memorial Building, which is weird because he was still alive.
Yep, he was there for the ribbon cutting ceremony, and he was the only one in the building. And when it collapsed, he fell on the scissors.
It was him.
It was ruled a suicide.
It was him and all of those Pentagon audit papers.
Yep. It was just it was just financial transaction documents from wet work.
It was what's his name? It was Rumsfeld's Venmo account information.
Let's see. The Oklahoma City bombing caused Cooper a lot of grief, but he kept trucking and continued.
Wendy.
R. Crumb mentioned and continued to spread the word.
Ryder trucking.
Some people listened. Sometimes important or influential. Oh my God! Keep on Ryder trucking. Make that edit exist, and we will make merch. We will make that fucking shirt. Someone do it. Get me a copy of the R. Crumb Keep on Trucking shirt.
Mr. Owen Zaleski.
Timothy McVeigh.
Mr. Owen Zaleski, we know that the Discord sucks, but please bring this into existence.
Yep. Got to copy the style though. You got to copy the art style. Oh my God. Yeah. I will.
As if I'd ever stop trucking.
I will dead ass make that merch. And continue to spread the word. Some people listen, sometimes important or influential people. In early summer of 2000, the South African Minister of Health distributed photocopied pages of Behold a Pale Horse to members of the senior officials of the Health Committee, and in support of her suspicion that something other than or in addition to HIV might cause AIDS, and that AIDS itself might be the result of an international conspiracy intended to reduce the African population.
Whoa.
Boy, if only.
Yeah. Would you believe that William Cooper was right about exactly one thing?
Yeah. Although unfortunately the international conspiracy was to fund prep sales to Africa.
Yeah, we have to infect these people so that we can create an apparatus to pay ourselves.
Yeah. Yep.
They learn nothing from the Tuskegee experiments except how to get that money.
Exactly. It's all follow the money. Since 1988, Cooper had been a federal fugitive wanted for tax evasion. His life came to a spectacular end in November 2001. Okay, so it was
right after 9/11.
After a firefight broke out between him and local Apache County sheriffs. Weird that they would name the race of the sheriffs. One of whom Cooper had shot in the head. Nice. But he didn't shoot the deputy. So
they call him Deadeye Bill.
Yep. The sheriffs were attempting to
shoot the deputy. I just got that.
The sheriffs were attempting to arrest him on a warrant resulting from an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon charge, which had resulted from an earlier altercation with the sheriffs that resulted from an even earlier altercation with his neighbors. Cooper had never been easy to get along with. Thanks, Wendy. That's a rim shot. She's actually really cooking in this section, you know? Just like got to get the. Although
we need a soundboard.
I have one. I just haven't gotten around to making it work. Although previously viewed as a freak show, an assemblage of maniacs best ignored, once McVeigh was arrested for the bombing, said one report, the whole movement stands accused. After all, McVeigh was a fan of Cooper's radio show, and Cooper was, according to the Clinton administration, America's most dangerous host. And
Rush Limbaugh must have been pissed.
So mad.
What's a guy got to do to piss off Bill Clinton?
And everybody tell him to pull out. And everybody now knew that even if Patriot Movement spokespeople didn't publicly promote the views of people like Cooper, they shared them, and so did gun owners and people who questioned the government's version of any number of events for that matter. If you didn't toe the line of the status quo, you were as crazy as Cooper, Timothy McVeigh, who was exactly what even the most normal Americans would become if dangerous kooks like William Cooper continued to spread their hate-filled horse manure. Bullpucky, I say. Along with, I love how now I'm a big believer in mimetic contagions. I think info hazards are 100% real. But it is crazy how super reactive the government has been to that type of thing since, forever, basically, right? So any messaging that is counter narrative has been crushed, and it's literally just and the perceived stability of the cultural center has drifted so far since social media, just because there's more ability for a random asshole or two random assholes with a YouTube channel to add signal. You know what I mean?
Wow, we're doing a great job.
We're doing a great job. We're spreading hate-filled horse manure. I'm just letting you know. By listening to this,
you are getting piled with horse manure. It's so much you're gonna need some prep.
I don't think horses have AIDS. I'm pretty sure horses can't get AIDS. Now, I haven't tested. But there were two victims, and there were two deaths in the Mr. Hands video. One was just way slower. Do not look that up, friends. Do not look that one up. Sorry.
That is info hazard.
That is an info hazard. Yeah. Along with several other recognizable names in the UFO and Patriot crowds who pegged Cooper. Gross. Terrible maneuver. For a Mirage Man. That's a relief. For a Mirage Man was Jim Keith, a kind of jack of all trades conspiracy guy.
A real conspiracy guy.
How's it going? I'm Jim Keith. I'm a jack of all trades conspiracy guy. You need something made up about a government program? Well, I can help you out with that. You need something about UFOs, maybe a Bigfoot, a monster in some kind of lock or lake. I can help you out with all of those. Whatever you need. Strange harbingers in West Virginia. That's my best work. To Keith, Cooper was just another in a long line of official disinformers who had injected epistemological toxins into subversive but legitimate subcultural discourses. And behold, a pale horse more than likely was. Created as gray disinformation, calculated to confuse and diffuse the issues of elitist control, mind control, genocide, and secret space programs by revealing yet concealing these truths, it would not be the first instance of the government in either its overt or covert manifestations, using disinformation vectors to confuse, pacify, or stampede the populace in directions of its choosing. There is much evidence to suggest that the UFO field itself is largely a blind, made fun of house of mirrors generated to twist facts, to conceal and not reveal them. The success of a disinformation campaign is that it must contain some elements of truth in order to be credible. Once the information is believed, the work of the counterintelligence specialist is complete. What better way to generate confusion about testing of counterintelligence, about testing of advanced post-stealth technology? When evaluating suspected disinformation, we can proceed on the basis that the content of a cover-up or disinformation story can possibly offer an idea of what is being hidden, since to create an effective self-perpetuating ruse, there must be a mix of truth and falsehood. This practice confuses and discredits past and future reports that are factual, linking them in the public mind with whatever incredible elements the disinformers may have injected. The purpose would be to discredit these subjects and shunt debate into enclaves of UFO true believers who could be counted on to hallucinate, embroider, and heavily merchandise the information, thus continuing the work of the disinformers. The success of disinformation campaigns is dependent upon dropping information upon a target or mark in such a way that the person will accept it as truth and will repeat and even defend it. Yeah. Despite that a lot of interstellar... So essentially, yeah. So he's saying if they're talking about it, it is a thing that they are attempting to obfuscate. So you can't trust the explanation, but you can trust that there is a purpose to the communication, right? So they're sheep dipping narratives essentially,
which is easier than sheep dipping people.
It is easier, yeah, because you can get a legitimate person to just take in your info hazard. Despite that a lot of the interstellar themed information was obviously taken from the bad information fed to Paul Bedowitz, mainstream news reports that ridiculed Cooper, and by extension a wide range of fringe movements and their participants, like to point out that a lot of Cooper's information originated with things the ufologists make up as jokes.
You are doing that on purpose.
Yes, I am doing it on purpose because ufologist is fucking stupid. It's a shit portmanteau.
Which is why it's ufologist. You got to say it all together.
No, it's ufologist is bad. It's a shitty portmanteau.
Well, what are we supposed to call it?
UFOologist.
Yeah, well, it's like you're trying to trekker me.
Unfortunately,
they're Trekkies.
Unfortunately, alienist means a different thing.
Yeah,
we could use that one.
They're ufologists. I won't hear anything else, and they're Trekkies, not trekkers.
Okay, triggers. While that happened, Cooper had worked closely with known disinforming mirage men like John Lear, and out of stupidity or nefarious intent, incorporated and popularized a lot of intentionally planted disinformation. When people like Lear or Cooper were asked about their position on actual abusive government practices against Americans and others, they consistently took the position that these were smokescreen for larger human alien drama and were of no consequence in the face of the extraterrestrial threat.
I want people to think that I'm either working out of stupidity or nefarious intent.
I think that you, rather than what? Sincere delusion?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I will say, okay, so to talk about Bill Cooper for a second.
Okay.
He couldn't possibly be a Mirage Man because he died in a shootout with the police.
Right.
So he
Yeah.
had to at least believe some of this crap.
Yeah. Well, maybe he was just like, maybe he started as a Mirage Man and drank the Kool-Aid.
I doubt it. I think more than likely John Lear. I think this is more of a Benowitz problem, where John Lear probably found somebody way too easily convinced that the world is much more nefarious than he thinks.
Okay.
And it just ended tragically. And unfortunately, well, lucky for the government, Bill Cooper had such a persona that they could easily just, write it off as a crazy person and not have to investigate how he got there.
Got it. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Let's see here. Cooper's death helped to write the final scene of a paranoid drama authored by Cooper himself, said one report, indicative of so many others that overlook the actual role of government in creating and spreading alien UFO related theories. But then again, to acknowledge this would feed into the very paranoia such cultural crusaders were trying to combat. Plus, if the government helped create and spread the kinds of astounding nonsense floated by Cooper, and if Cooper had helped corrupt the mind of McVeigh, then the government kind of helped to make McVeigh, and that's the kind of thing that Cooper would say, so best not to bring it up. Thank you, Wendy.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Bill Cooper used a sort of crazy person logic and got to the right conclusion. It's like whenever I did math in school and I would just make stuff up and somehow get the right answer.
You have failed successfully. That is the yep.
I literally had a teacher write, there's no possible way you could have gotten this, but you got it right technically, so points.
Amazing. Yeah, show your work. Your work was wrong, but your answer was right. So
stop copying off of Tyler.
But that's not all. Jim Keith also observed how certain recurring circulating elements of stories propagated by right-wing organizations like the John Birch Society recently came back.
Yeah,
clearly Zoomers in control have no idea what's going on with the John Birch Society.
Actually very cool.
No idea what's going on with the John Birch Society's Twitter presence, but we will find out. Let's see, like John Birch Society, mystical-minded neo-Nazi groups, the unabashedly racist Spotlight newspaper, and run-of-the-mill non-racist conspiracy theory subcultures subtly melded with those advanced by UFO groups, thereby effectively aligning all of these subcultures. With the merger of their diverse ideas into fantastical narratives like Cooper's, disinformation campaigns and counterintelligence operations targeted a number of subcultures whom the government found problematic. Kill multiple birds with one stone. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And if the government disinformation interventions worked so well before, why would such interventions cease? Surely not because a bureaucracy somehow grew a conscience. As Pilkington demonstrated, the UFO disinformation game is ongoing, which brings me to my point. The admittedly abbreviated yet sordid history of UFO sightings / alien abductions and the government's surveillance and disruption of people and citizen groups who looked into these things cast the lineup of speakers for MUFON's 2010 National Symposium in Irvine, California, in an interesting light. Big names appearing there included retired Air Force intelligence officer George Filer and Stanton T. Friedman. Sorry,
Stan Friedman. Okay, so Stanton Friedman, for those of you who don't know, he's like the materialist UFO guy. He was very much he was a nuclear physicist, and he was very much into the how an alien craft would probably work.
Okay.
But he was very much of the physical realm. He dismissed a lot of kookery. A lot of people thought that he was probably a disinfo guy. I don't think so. I just think that he had no time for the sort of woo-woo stuff.
Interesting. I
He
mean,
was
yeah,
he was on the History Channel sort of alien shows all the time when he was still alive.
like
Uh,
if it worked, this is how it might.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. 0 point energy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Really very close to that. He was on Coast to Coast a lot too.
Um, and Stanton T. Friedman, the later described by the Huffington Post as does that still exist? As a former nuclear physicist, the original civilian investigator of the Roswell UFO incident, and one of the most outspoken scientists who believes there is overwhelming evidence that alien spacecrafts are visiting Earth. Jody Dean described Friedman as a nuclear physicist who earns she didn't say he was former as a nuclear physicist who earns his living lecturing on UFOs and argues that the government confirmation of contact with aliens and their superior technology will shatter every early economic and political structures. And because of this, the government is actively covering up this information. Friedman and Filer are also alleged disinformation agents. Joining them at the conference was former John Doe number 2 candidate, Stephen Colburn, who had disappeared from the public's view after the conclusion of McVeigh's trial, only to rise again as a MUFON spokesperson. What the fuck? The title of the paper Colburn delivered at the event, Analysis Report on Metal Samples from the 1947 UFO Crash on the Plains of San Augustine, New Mexico. What the fuck?
Yeah, there's you'd never guess, but yes.
You'd never guess. Well, okay. Wendy, I see why you would go on this, why we have this section. Thank you. You are a true patriot. I completely forgot that portion. Let's see. Soon after, Colburn appeared as a guest on the radio show Coast to Coast AM, a long-standing favorite among conspiracy theorists everywhere. Colburn's area of expertise was not spacecraft wreckage, but alien implants. His biography on the show's website describes Colburn as a chemist/material scientist and nanotechnologies specialist with 20 years of experience. His most recent project did not involve gathering bomb components and hobnobbing with America's most notorious neo-Nazis, but analyzing samples of alleged alien implants on behalf of a Dr. Roger Lear, a highly recognizable name within the UFO contactee community. Lear claimed to have removed the implants from patients of his who claimed to be alien abductees. Can I see them? No. After intensive study, Colburn found that the implants were foreign to the host body, yet do not produce immune responses, but did emit radio signals prior to their removal. This was possible because Colburn explained the implants were sophisticated nanotechnological devices with carbon nanotube electronics built right in. At least 100 times more advanced than current human technological capability, Colburn said he did not know who put the implants in the non-consenting human bodies, but speculated that they were part of a sophisticated electronics communication system meant to generate certain scalar frequencies, possibly used to transmit sensory and physiological information, what the subject is seeing and hearing, physiological information, etc. In fact, of the 17 implants Lear and Colburn had allegedly found thus far, only one was identifiable as having earthly origins, while the others might be extremely advanced electronic communication devices which are relating information to someone somewhere, most likely an alien civilization attempting to manipulate the DNA of humankind. And there's no there's no pictures in here, obviously, but it would be great if there was one and it was just a SIM card. I want it to just be a SIM card.
or a really old SD card.
It's a Nokia, one of the nice Nokia brick phones. That'd be great. After his 2010 appearance on Coast to Coast, Stephen Colbern gathered quite a following, not so much with UFO buffs, but among alien abductee circles, and made regular appearances on the UFO abductee circuit. For a modest fee, Colbern uses his sophisticated scientific equipment, a metal detector, to scan for hidden implants and attempts to determine if a person is in actuality a hybrid infused with alien DNA. Though on the dataset garnered by those he scanned, Colbern discovered other telltale signs of alien abduction, which included hair samples, as well as traces of invisible dyes detectable only through ultraviolet light
Alien hair sample.
and impossible to wash off. That's called a tattoo, which when detected on the human body...
that is spunk.
Yeah, that is jizz. You have not used Tide detergent. Which when detected on the human body indicate an individual has been recently snatched and was now being monitored. It would be nice for people to take this seriously, Colbern pleaded during his appearance on the Voice of Russia radio show in December 2013, because it's one of the biggest stories of the 21st century, that we're not alone in the universe and we're being visited. Interesting. You would Voice of Russia, you say? Alien jizz tattoo. Well, the horrors never end. It's more likely than you think, requited. Let's see.
Right next to the lizard milk.
Right next to the lizard milk.
You never put your alien jizz next to the alien jizz.
You'll mix up the bottles. You'll mix up the bottles every time. These days, when Stephen Colbern is not removing and analyzing alien implants, he spends his time building bombs for... spends his time arguing on the internet. Oh, that's okay. Well,
wait.
Let's find
his Twitter.
Let's find his fucking Twitter. He's on Blue Sky. We know he's a glowy. All right. Hold on. Cappy. Twitter. Jamie, are you Jamieing? He's dead.
No.
You can only find Stephen Colbert.
He's ultra mega ditto head, deplorable all-star.
Are you sure it's the same one?
No, but he is on revolver.news. This one is, at least.
Yeah.
I hope it's this. I hope it's the one.
There is a Steve Colbern who is posting about about UAPs, and he has a show called Revolution Radio on Revolution Radio called The Cosmic Oracle.
Probably that's probably the one. That's
probably him. Yep.
I wanted it to be the ultra mega.
He's got 43 followers.
Wow.
You too can follow most likely John Doe number 2.
Imagine. Seriously.
Oh yeah, and he follows George Knapp. Yeah, he follows Elon Musk, George Knapp, and Whitley Strieber. There we go.
Imagine being John Doe number 2, and then just and you're not able to get any traction off of that.
You can't get any traction. Dude, I didn't go to prison for the Oklahoma City bombing, and
I really want people to just remember me for my alien work.
I prefer to be remembered for my work on
UAPs.
UFOs.
Yes, I'm a professional ufologist.
UFOologist, I prefer to say. Anyway, well, I don't know why he's talking. I don't know why we're giving him that voice, but it's fine.
Well, nobody knows what he sounds like. He's only got 43 followers.
Right. He spends his time arguing on internet forums about the existence of UFOs and aliens, the former he claims to have seen several times. Colbern is very open about expressing his frustration with the pathological disbelief in magical thinking of those who do not believe in UFOs. In one online debate that apparently went on for longer than he was comfortable with, Colburn accused his opponent of engaging in some type of agenda-driven propaganda campaign, which is slightly different than engaging in an agenda-driven bombing campaign.
It's like, well, at least some, at least I go on agenda campaigns, unlike some people here who just blow people up they disagree with.
A somewhat ironic and even humorous accusation, all things considered. The 20 years that have passed since the Oklahoma City bombings did not pluralize, do not appear to have tempered Colburn's more earthly political and racial concerns, as seen in a rant he orated on an underground webcast in July 2015. During the 2-hour broadcast, in between outbursts about those government scumbags intent on enslaving humanity and his ex-wife and her family who were communist plants.
Amazing.
One of our guys, clearly.
Gabe, are you much older than you let on?
Colburn stated he was not concerned with race per se, but clashes of culture and the Arab ragheads bent on destroying the American way of life.
Yeah. Yes, he uses the clash of civilizations, the Samuel Huntington excuse.
Hey, bub, what's your agender? Thank you, Vulpus. Let's see. For some, the history of UFO lore itself, U.S. paperclip Nazis, the U.S. intelligence network, and the American extreme right have always been and continue to be intertwined. Regarding the crossover among those in the UFO community and the racist right, Alex Constantine wrote, "The surface of the underground movement swarms with seemingly delusional, quasi-mystical savants, while beneath is a hidden world of terror with origins in the waste of war-struck Europe and the beating hearts of some of Nazi Germany's most ruthless military scientists. From these cold chambers exploded many of the mysteries that have since riddled the post-war world." Similarly, for Jody Dean, the public's ongoing fascination with Area 51, and I would add legends about underground Nazis, represented the hidden, secret, and denied costs of the Cold War.
Maybe the Nazis were the real mole men.
Maybe the Nazis were the real mole men all along. Driven from the surface, they now live on the moon and inside Mother Earth. The scientific and technological advances of the American flight development and space program are inseparable from Project Paperclip, which remains an element of history that continues to elude narrative, a history of black budgets, experiments on civilian populations, and a community of secrets. Well, does Project Paperclip actually have experiments on civilian populations? I mean, in the U.S.?
I'm pretty sure they just went to the moon.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was mostly aerospace.
No. It was WASPs that did stuff.
Gotcha. In his private letters and conversations, McVeigh told stories linking, however loosely, Stephen Colburn to Area 51, UFOs, and black operations. Colburn, once so deeply worried about the Jews, the New World Order, and implantable microchips, doesn't seem to have much to say publicly about the first two, and makes a living by literally digging out the third. In an online... Amazing. In an online memorial for recently deceased ufologist. I'll just make a big deal of it every time for your benefit. That's it.
R.I.P. Bud Hopkins. I actually was just listening to an episode of Coast to Coast with him on it.
And now instead of, and so once again you have decided to jump on the Wendy's going to say it right now hand grenade.
Yep.
In an online memorial for recently deceased ufologist and contactee luminary Bud Hopkins, Colburn thanked Hopkins for revealing that aliens are contacting people in their bedroom in the dead of night, or even while driving in their vehicles, manipulating their minds and memories, and even conducting medical and breeding experiments and large-scale program of activity that may be influencing the future of the human race, possibly even altering our genetic makeup. Nearly 20 years earlier, when the authorities caught up with him in May 1995, Colburn was cooking meth in a trailer on the outskirts of Kingman, Arizona, which was, in Mark Ham's description, overrun with rattlesnakes. Inside were reams of hate literature, along with stolen medical supplies, more than a dozen assault rifles, bomb building manuals, a cache of Chinese-made AK-47 bullets, and explosives. Were the medical supplies used to remove microchips? The rifles to stave off the alien threat? I jest.
Oh, Wendy, you
Wendy,
card.
oh Wendy, you card, yes. I'm just gonna say, you know, women say men should have hobbies, but then when guys
Yeah,
have
exactly.
hobbies,
Well,
it turns into the most hoe scaring thing imaginable.
well, I was thinking about this too. You know, he's talking about how there's a alien breeding program, and I was thinking, well, this could easily get turned into some sort of women's fiction.
Oh, totally. Oh, I mean, yeah, actually, when I was looking at the performance of David Harrod's book in Providence, it had wound up in the colonization fiction subsection on Amazon. I'm gonna tell you, 100% of the rest of colonization fiction on Amazon is about women getting plowed by buff alien dudes.
And I'm going to tell you this right now, Cap. Yours is the only review of my latest book, and I can't imagine it's driving sales.
I think it'll drive sales.
For a lot of returns.
It will not drive any returns because they don't do returns on print to demand books.
Oh, well, yes, they do. I've looked at my dashboard before, and it says, "Oh, 1 copy returned."
Oh, seriously? What do they do with it?
I don't know.
Huh?
I don't know.
Strange. Speaking of print on demand books and strange outcomes, I was recently talking to Kevin Kautzman of Art of Dark, shout out, and he was saying that I should republish Justin Moan's books since I have physical copies of all of them.
I think legally you can't.
I can't because he's fucking alive. Yeah. And also I'm not going to
write him a prison letter.
I am going to write him. I am going to write him a prison letter.
Print your books.
Dear Justin, I would love to assist you in getting out.
Maybe we can have
works of literature. Yeah, we can have a catch. I know you don't have a father. So yeah, but I looked up Justin Moan's books on eBay, and that shit is like $300 a piece. So I don't know if the Justin Moan bibliography, I don't know. I might sell that shit for $3K. You know, that could be a good come up. I mean, we could do something with that money. Although I think I just prefer to own it, to be honest. But yeah. Colburn's real beliefs about aliens and UFOs, both prior to the Oklahoma City bombings and currently, are unknown. Perhaps he has yet to make a final determination about whether or not UFOs and aliens are actually illusions created by global elites as a pretext for establishing the ever-looming New World Order. And his implants, and his any day now we'll find out, or they'll do it.
The New World Order is going to strike.
I mean, did it not, like, was it not defeated at the ballot box? I mean, for real, like, actually, like, I mean, if there is like New World Order of like deracinated globalization, like, that's literally what was defeated, right? I mean, do you actually not agree with that?
No, I totally do. I co-sign.
You co-sign? All right. I think you're just trying to get me to move on because we're running up on the end of the program.
Well, we're also on the end of this chapter.
That's true.
So I feel like, you know, we'll stop here for super chats and then...
True. Yes, please need any super chats to show your love for the boys.
We're the boys.
We're the boys. The boys are us.
And we're going to use that money to track down Steve Colburn and interview him on this show.
Will we? I don't know. Maybe I will.
Or just buy some high quality meth.
You know what? I'm gonna follow him, and his fucking DMs are not open. Son of a bitch.
So just tag him in a post.
Yeah, I guess I'll do that.
Hey, Wendy Painting wrote this book about you.
Yeah. Hey,
What if
hey,
we accidentally get Wendy murdered?
hey, bud. I hear that you like to cook.
I
Uh,
hear that you are John Doe number 2.
I hear that you are John Doe number 2. Would you like to comment on that? Can
Could
I
you,
get you to sign my Keep On Rider Truckin' shirt?
dude, imagine, okay, we get him on the show under false pretenses that we're here to talk about UFOs and just ask about Oklahoma City the whole time.
So, how much fertilizer do you think could fit in the back of this truck? All right. I'll just restart this one. Perhaps he has yet to make a final determination about whether or not UFOs and aliens are actually illusions created by global elites as a pretext for establishing the ever-looming New World Order, and his implant-related activities offer a way to turn a quick buck in the meantime. Perhaps he's a true believer, holding out hope that the alien overlords will offer their assistance in reversing the genetic impurity of the white race. Given his apparent technical expertise, perhaps he will be there to assist when the time comes for governments and aliens to embed all living people with tracking chips.
That's
Maybe,
3.
oh yeah. Maybe that was his purpose deep down in those desert mine shafts. Maybe he was looking for clues of his alien ancestors, of like-minded Nazis from the days of yore, or a hybrid combination of both, and thinking they might be living in the furthest reaches of the Earth's hollow core, went as deep underground as he could manage. Maybe he believes the stories he tells, the abductees that come to him seeking his assurance and advice. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe convincing people that they are in fact chipped victims of the sky people has a much darker purpose. Perhaps the types of claims made by Lear, now deceased, and Colburn are nothing more than intentional disinformation, lies meant to mask the use of existing or impending technologies of control, although on whose behalf, I am unaware. No matter what you think of it all, Colburn and the spoken and unspoken details of McVeigh's Area 51 stories illustrate how even the most fantastical legends have roots in and shed light on actual events, not only in McVeigh's life, but in America's less apparent history, as does so much else in the backstory of the Oklahoma City bombing.
And that's the longest chapter of the book.
Yep.
Complete. Ugh.
Yep. That is that. And it is completed with perfect timing. How good is that?
Yeah, you couldn't plan that any better.
You couldn't plan, and we didn't plan
No,
it.
no,
It just
certainly
worked out.
not. I knew exactly when to time my rants and ravings and tangents so that we would exactly end up right where we are right now.
Right now. Yeah. Uh Deeply Kino, and Wendy does make a good point there that there's even just recounting the history of the sort of like UFO conspiracy movement, or the UFO sub theme in the conspiracy movement, really does tell you a lot about the it's a subaltern history of the United States, which does paint, it does have real world consequences, outside of just say the Oklahoma City bombing. But there are real government programs, real intelligence operations running to guide narratives.
Yeah, there are guys out there whose job it is to convince you of things out there. We do it for free. We're suckers.
Yeah,
Cap
we're
and I.
suckers. We're suckers.
But some guys are getting paid really good money,
Buku. Yep.
and they
Buku
all
dollars.
work for
They get
Mr. Peter
government bennies.
Thiel.
These guys get fucking healthcare for free.
They get dental.
They get dental to lie to you.
But then again, Tim McVeigh got dental and his teeth were messed up.
That's true. Occasionally the glowies will glow themselves. Like, who glows the glowies? Glowies. Like,
It glows for thee.
They're auto glowing. Yeah, they're auto glowers. Yeah. But next week, I guess we'll start on McVeigh's imperceptibly binding chains. the sort of the grand conclusion. We have two more full chapters left. This is the last chapter, and then we have the epilogue.
We are almost done. We're gonna have a nice round, even 17 episodes.
We are definitely not going to have 17 episodes. We're going to have like 27 episodes.
Oh, really? The epilogue is another 10 chapters, you think?
No. The epilogue is it's not that long, but we're going to have at least 5 episodes of the final chapter.
That's 15 hours of content yet to come.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's just this one book, folks. If you keep coming back, we will read another book. We are not like Harry Potter fans.
Read a different book, my God. We're kind of thinking about what to read next. We might do a couple short things. Maybe we could read Justin Moan's his
What is your obsession with this guy?
What?
Justin Moan. You already did a Tukey Zip.
Oh no, well, yeah, he's got 9 books, and one of them is a very short manifesto. So
his dadifesto.
Nope, doesn't actually mention his father at all. But yeah, it's just just another thing, another manifesto. Unless we get a more interesting manifesto come down the pipe.
Tell you what, everybody. If we will give you a say in the next Library of Mass Destruction book, if you become a top tugger.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think probably we should just suggestions. We'll take suggestions in chat.
Yeah, no, I'm not actually gonna let them pick anything. But dude, the kayfabe. You're breaking kayfabe.
Break kayfabe. You should become a top tugger, though. You should.
Yes, and you get to. I don't know what you guys offer.
There aren't significant benefits. It's mostly the title of top tugger. Although dead ass, I'm gonna see if I can get someone to make the keep on rider
trucking.
I swear to God, I'm DMing Mike of Pole right now. So,
yes, X guy extra. We do have a book list so far. Haven't really decided what. I do want to do something fun, like the monster book you were talking about.
The lake monster.
Yeah, the sea critters.
That's a good one. Although
just something a little lighter.
Well, we're called Library of Mass Destruction.
That's true. Yeah, we did. We did pigeonhole ourselves a little bit there. All right, I'm sure that the Loch Ness Monster has rented a rider truck before.
So true. Do you have that short list? Because we've got a little bit of time. Maybe we could throw some out there, see if people want to give us comments on them.
Yeah, let me share this tab.
Cool. I can't really see that. Let me see. All right.
I can increase the font. Oh, that doesn't.
Notes. Okay, boom booms. OKC boom booms. Fucking.
I think you wrote that.
That's probably me. That does seem like something I might do.
The Franklin scandal is a heavy one.
Okay.
I wouldn't go right into that from this.
Okay.
But it's definitely one we should cover.
The Principia Discordia, man, that's not a big one. We could do that one. That's totally. You should put Book of a Bremlin on there, actually. Which is so Book of a Bremlin is a it is written as an epistle, as a epistolary from Abraham the Mage, where he recounts being taught magic by a Gremlin, and it gives instructions for a 6-month-long ritual to summon and command your guardian angel. And it is a ritual.
Yeah, that's right. You did say that.
And it is a ritual that was famously attempted and left incomplete 2 times by Aleister Crowley. And the places where he did the ritual have things have not gone well there. Many people have died doing this, gone insane thereafter. It appears to be extreme let's say extreme psychological consequence, even if the magic itself is not effective.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and veto that.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't involve us doing magic. It's just it's a book with a body count. So
we'll maybe.
Yeah. Let's see.
Chaos is a good, right down the middle sort of book. It's very well researched like this, pretty long as well.
Yeah. Oh, and then Josh Neal also has a 3rd book that's coming out soon.
Yeah, I feel like we should do his first 2 before we knock on that door, and maybe we can even get him on.
Yeah, I'm sure he would. Yeah.
Friend of the show, Josh Neal.
Absolutely. My treasured mutual. But Wendy still has not given me the follow back.
No, and I doubt she will, because
she won't because she's not an internet racist.
No, she's very much involved with the I guess parapolitics guys.
Yeah. So, in any case, I think we'll call it. We have let us know, guys, if you have anything you think we should read, or anything you think would be, interesting. Defense intelligence research documents. I mean, look, I'm not against reading primary sources. I mean, as you probably saw, there were a lot of primary sources in there. So, we'll see you next week, and we'll start on the final full chapter. See ya.
Good night, America.
We will not walk in fear one of another. We will not be driven by fear into an age of unreason if we dig deep in our history and our doctrine, and remember that we are not descended from fearful men, not from men who feared to write, to associate, to speak, and to defend the causes that were for the moment unpopular. We must not confuse dissent with disloyalty. Good night.